Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here to Murder Church. Appreciate everyone for hanging out. About to come at you again. This is from 1991 Manson Family Parole Hearings. Leslie Van Houten is going to be on this episode. Coming at you momentarily. Thanks for being here. All praise be to Dandy Savage. Welcome to Murder Church. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Let me do a little bit of sharing here myself. Please share that out on X. I just made the post. Share that out on Facebook. Let folks know that you're hanging out. I've got to do one more thing here real quick. I'm going to put it in the Discords, in my Discord and in Jay's Discord. And we should be good to rock and roll. Well, again, thanks y'all for coming. Everyone that hung out last night, appreciate the hell out of it. Last night was fun as hell. Super, super good time. Here we go. Let me just get this going. Boom. Boom. Way some folks know to come and hang out this morning. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. Happy Sunday. This is correct in general. Boom. Yeah, next week we should be finishing the Dr. Kevorkian trial. Bob Mata should be on here to watch the closings with us. I'm just making sure I've got all of this correct, baby. I think we do. Oh, one more thing. I've got to get the chat over here. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, rocking and rolling. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate it. Who's hanging out this morning? Joni B coming through. Sheila Duffy coming through. Debbie Blair. I'm not T-Pain. Donnie coming through. Sarah, aspiring court reporter. Lakota, good morning. Lily Polly coming through here. Julia coming through here. Deborah coming through here. Bonjour from Maryland. Lily from England. Wow, people from all over the globe to start out some morning Murder Church with us this morning. I really appreciate it. Going to start out with some church bells before I forget. This might lure Viv in here this morning. Let's check. Gotta have the bells. Can't forget the bells. Yeah. Bells bringing us together, folks. That's what I'm talking about. This morning, after 20 years, convicted murderer and Charles Manson family member Leslie Van Houten is making a parole hearing. As we know now, Leslie Van Houten has actually been paroled. One of the lucky ones. She is currently out and about in society. I haven't heard a lot about her since it initially happened, I believe last year, but it's pretty interesting. So yeah, we're going to start with her. It's not a super long one. I think her initial parole hearing here is about an hour, and we know the second part of the video usually goes just minutes because their decision is not very long, does not take very long to read. But yeah, we're going to jump in here. Again, thank you all so freaking much. Appreciate it. Hit that like, share it out, get it going in the algorithm. Let folks know you're hanging out here at Murder Church. And yeah, let me get this.
H-V-A-N-H-O-U-T-E-N. CDC number W13378. Date of hearing is December 30th, 1991. Location is California Institute for Women. Legal status of the prisoner. The prisoner was received in prison on August 17th, 1978. Pursuant to Penal Code Section 1168 for violation of 187 PC and 182.1. First-degree murder, 2 counts, and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Los Angeles County case number A253156, counts 6, 7, and 8. The controlling minimum eligible parole date was August 17, 1978. Okay, the hearing today is tape recorded. In order that we get an accurate transcription, I'm going to ask for voice identification from all those in attendance here today. Like first and last name, tell what your function is, and if you would, spell your last name. I'll ask Commissioner Aceto to start, and we'll go to his left.
Yes, good afternoon. Joe Aceto, ACTO, Commissioner Board of Prison Terms.
Manny Guadarrama, Guaderrama, Commissioner Board of Prison Terms, and I will be presiding.
Monica Smith, SMITH, Deputy Commissioner.
And I'm Stephen K., K-A-Y, Deputy District Attorney from Los Angeles County.
We'll also ask the media folks to identify themselves, please.
Carla Conti, C-O-N-T-I, Northside President Press.
Eric Alvarez, A-L-V-E-R-E-Z with Court TV.
Todd Griffith, G-R-I-F-F-I-T-H-E with Court TV.
Claudia Weinstein, W-E-I-N-S-T-E-I-N, Associate Producer at Court TV.
Evan Spates, S-P-A-T-E-S, Correctional Officer.
Dan Marotek, M-R-O-T-E-K, the Inmates Council.
Leslie Van Houten, capital V-A-N, capital H-O-U-T-E-N, inmate.
Your W number, please.
W13378.
Okay, thank you. The purpose of today's hearing is again to consider your suitability for parole. In arriving at a decision, we will consider the commitment offenses to your prior criminal and social history, as well as your behavior and overall programming since your commitment. We reviewed your files and prior transcripts, and you'll have an opportunity to make corrections and ask questions as we go along. The way this will work today, we'll do it in 3 phases. I will be discussing with you the life offense, your previous criminal and social history. Then we'll go to Commissioner Aceto, who will discuss with you your adjustment to the institution. And then finally, we'll go to Deputy Commissioner Smith, who will discuss with you parole plans. When we get part done with all that, we'll pause for questions and make any points of clarification. And that will be open to all the participants here. Okay. Following that, we will turn to the District Attorney from Los Angeles and ask him for closing remarks concerning your suitability for parole and any recommendations that he has for length of confinement. Then we will go to your attorney, who will also have an opportunity to bring out things in your favor that would point towards parole suitability. Then finally, if you wish, you'll have an opportunity to make a statement.
Good morning, Shannon.
After that, we'll recess, we'll deliberate, and we'll call everyone back when we have a decision. You are afforded certain rights, right to timely notice, availability of files to review, and a right to present relevant documents. Counsel, are you satisfied that your client's rights have been met?
Yes.
Thank you. You also have right to an impartial panel. Do you have any objections to any of the panel members you see before you?
No.
Okay. You will receive a copy of the written decision today. Decision becomes effective in 60 days. The transcript and a copy of the decision will automatically be sent to you. You have a right to appeal within 90 days. Today, you're not required to discuss the matter with the panel. You're not required to admit your guilt, but the panel does find as true the findings of the court. Okay. If any, I don't believe there's any confidential information, but if any is there, it'll be discussed with you by Commissioner Aceto. I have documents here I'd like for your counsel to take a look at and make sure we all have the same documents.
Yes, I have all these.
Thank you. Would you pass this to the district attorney?
I have all of the main documents, although I should say that at my place at the council table here were a folder full of letters that I've never seen before.
Yes, they were submitted. We received them today. That's your file copy. I believe they came in through council. Is that correct?
Which letters are we referring to?
There's a file that was presented to us.
This is all here. This is from the police
The
department.
explanation we got from the CNPR is that you had submitted them.
If we're referring to 3 letters which we intend to submit as parole plan materials, yes. And I understand what council is speaking of.
Okay.
I'm not just talking about those, I'm talking about a whole packet full of letters. There's one from Fitzgerald and,
Yeah, we have them in our file.
They're in file.
New ones.
okay, they just came in?
Not today, no. They've been in our file. I don't know the dates they come in.
Okay, because I didn't receive them.
It should be marked on there, Mr. K.
I'm not just talking.
Okay, do you have any preliminary objections?
No, I have a preliminary request, however. Again, we're requesting that the 3 letters which I referred to as parole plan materials be made confidential. The people who have sent those letters have expressed to me some concern about their release to the public in the event that my client is eventually released to parole.
Okay, there's been some miscommunication.
Back in there?
Yes.
Okay. The understanding we had prior to us convening was that these were just to go into the file, C file, not necessarily a confidential file.
Well, I'm making the formal request that they be made confidential. Of course, you have the rule on that one.
Yes.
I don't have any objection to
Okay,
that.
good. Then could you pass back your copies, please?
Sure.
Thank you. We were only handed 2 sets.
May I see that?
Any other objections?
No.
Is your client going to be talking to us today?
Yes.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this panel will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to incorporate by reference the statement of facts for the decision of the hearing held on December the 2nd, 1989, pages 2 and 3, and I'll give a summary of those facts. And the summary that I'm reading from comes from the hearing of 13179. On August 10th, 1969, the prisoner, having full knowledge that her co-conspirators and crime partners had killed 5 people on August 9th, 1969, set out to kill more people. The group drove around for about 4 hours, randomly selecting and discarding targets until they settled on LaBianca house. They entered the residence, tied up the victims, covered their heads with pillowcases, and killed them. The prisoner was an active participant in the murders. She held Mrs. LaBianca down so that the crime partner, Krenwinkel, could stab her. When Krenwinkel's knife bent during her attempt to stab the victim, the prisoner called for Watson to come in and assist with the killing. The prisoner also stabbed the victim. After the murders, the prisoner wiped off fingerprints, took property from the location, and upon her return to Spawn Ranch, burned evidence which could possibly tie her into the murders. Leno LaBianca died of multiple stab wounds to the neck and abdomen. Rosemary LaBianca's death was ascribed to multiple stab wounds to the neck and trunk. I read a tremendous amount of material, and there was some conflict as to when you became aware of the Tate murders.
After they occurred.
After they occurred? Yeah, was that before the LaBianca murders?
Yes.
Okay. Would you, this is the first time 2 of us have sat on your panel, tell us what happened to the best of your recollection following the Tate murders leading up to these murders?
The night of August 10th, Charlie met me on the boardwalk, and I don't remember the exact words, but it was basically, do you believe enough in what I'm saying and who I am to kill? And I said, yes, I did. And we got in the car, and Linda Kasabian was driving, and we drove around for a long time, and we stopped at a house, and Charlie said to Tex to make sure that we all did something inside the house, that no one would not do something. And they went in first, and they came back out, and then he came and he got Pat and I, Krenwinkel, and we went in the house, and Tex was there, and the others left, and I believe the LaBiancas were in the living room on the sofa, and Tex said for us to take Mrs. LaBianca into the bedroom, and we tried to tie her up with a lamp cord, and she struggled, and I tried to hold her down, and when Pat stabbed her, the knife bent, and I ran to the doorway.
I know, Sheila. I wonder what she's doing now too.
And then he came in the bedroom, and I stood staring into this empty room, and then he turned me around and he handed me a knife and he said, "Do something." And she was laying on the bedroom floor, and I stabbed her in the lower back repeatedly.
Was she still alive?
I believe she wasn't, but I have no way of telling you that she wasn't.
Yeah, it's crazy she got out, man. That's
Okay.
wild.
What were the LaBiancas doing when you first walked into the house?
Sitting in the living room looking very frightened.
Were they pleading with
Yes, they pled.
what were they
And
saying?
they begged
Recall
to
what they
not
were saying?
hurt them.
How old was Mr. LaBianca?
I don't know.
Elderly?
Well, I believe he was in his 40s. I really don't know. At the time, they seemed older, but
How old were you then?
Yeah, this screams the time period, right? This is from 1991. I think I got to get a nice due for the parole hearing there.
I was 19.
So after the stabbing took place, what went on then?
Tex started to take a shower, and he had been told that all of us were to change our clothes. And I didn't have any blood on my clothes, but he told me to change my clothes. So I took something out of Mrs. LaBianca's closet to put on because I didn't have any other clothes. And Charlie had wanted us to do awful things in the house,
Like?
aside from killing the people.
What do you want you to do?
Well, he wanted, like, he said that if the crimes were so horrible that people wouldn't be able to accept them, and he had wanted, like, mutilations, really. Like, he wanted, like, anyway, I couldn't do that. So I started wiping off fingerprints so that I would look busy so that Tex wouldn't ask me to do anymore. And then we left. We left through the kitchen. And I don't remember who opened up the refrigerator, but we took cheese and chocolate milk. And we sat in the bushes until sunrise. And then we hitchhiked back to the ranch.
Sat what bushes?
Just in the surrounding area.
I mean, could you imagine that? You're just going to chill out in the bushes waiting, eating and drinking after committing a brutal mass murder. Just to kind of compare it to last week, Bruce Davis talking about he wasn't at these murders, but the scenes that he was a part of with Manson there, he, at least to from his viewpoint, I mean, you take that however you want, but, he says he didn't want to do it. He couldn't do it. He could barely even cut him. He immediately puked after, and he felt terrible for days. And, he didn't really show a lot of remorse in the interview. His words said that, but his face and eyes really didn't. And we've seen that basically out of all the Manson family. Maybe time has healed some wounds even for them. But, I mean, it's a bad look. I don't care what you say.
I wouldn't know.
Okay. How long were you in the house following the murders?
It's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe long enough to do all that and leave.
Did Charlie tell you specifically what form of mutilation he wanted?
Yeah, he wanted us to, like, squish eyeballs on the walls and stuff like that.
Wow.
He wanted more than...
I've never actually heard that.
And where was Charlie at the time?
He was still I don't know, either at the ranch or I found out later on about the wallet. I didn't know about all that kind of thing that I recall. I'm telling you this from like 20 years later, so.
I understand. What time was this when it happened?
And a head full of acid, probably.
I have no idea.
It was dark though.
Yeah, it was probably early morning. We drove around for an awfully long time and we left when it was dark, so it was probably early morning maybe.
Okay. What kind of property did you take from the LaBiancas?
I know $10 in change was taken and the clothes I had on. And that was it that I know of. And the milk and cheese.
Okay, what time did you get back to the ranch?
Early morning. Not sunrise.
How much later was it that you were apprehended for?
In October.
So several months. Okay. And what went on in the meantime between August and October?
Preparation for survival in the desert. We ended up living in the desert for quite a while. Charlie kind of removed those of us that had been active in the crime from some of the other members. And I spent a lot of time after that, I believe, in the Death Valley. And that was about it. Living crazy. He had us building a road that started nowhere and went nowhere in the middle of the desert, and learning to hide, a lot of hiding.
How many people actually went to LaBianca residence initially?
In the car?
Yes.
I believe there were.
In the chat right now, we're early still. We're 15 minutes into this. Leslie explaining this. Do you feel that she's actually showing remorse right now while she's explaining this and telling the story? And do you think that the time period, I mean, it's only 20 years at this point, from 69 to 91 essentially, is that enough time for these feelings to be dulled so much in your consciousness that you can talk about them like this after you committed them? I can get emotional. I mean, I know everyone's different, but I can get emotional if I talk about something bad that I've done many years ago, or even think about something I've done bad, right? I don't know much. I've never killed anyone. Let's say that, but we've all done stuff we regret in our life. And you kind of think back on that. This has to be the most regrettable thing ever. You're stuck in prison for your entire young existence. It's crazy. And she just seems like she doesn't have. Maybe it's the prison. Maybe it's just it beats it out of you. Maybe I'm judging a little too harshly here.
There was Linda Kasabian, Charles Manson, Steve Grogan, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, myself, and Patricia Krenwinkel.
Okay.
7.
And 3 of you stayed.
Yes.
And you have no idea where the rest of them went
No.
during that period of time?
No.
Next time you saw them was
Driving. The next day.
at the ranch?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start feeling any remorse? It's documentation says you have a sense of remorse for all this. When did you start feeling that?
I'd say I really started to understand the magnitude of what had occurred and started to become haunted by the events, I'd say about 2 years after I got there. And then just...
That's true. Some people are more emotional than others. I'm definitely a more emotional person, I feel like, honestly. Like a song, any song on the radio can instantly make me start crying. It's pretty silly, actually. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, people handle stuff differently and carry stuff differently. That's true. I mean, people like to judge when family members pass away and die, and then, how much they're crying or showing emotion at the funeral. I mean, some people, they don't carry it like that. Some people do carry it differently and show it differently, and maybe even have those moments in private. I mean, that's true.
Incorporating it and accepting it was... I'd say that took about a year, of nightmares, frightening thoughts. I had excessive weight loss, that kind of manifestation, but I wouldn't say a lot of it was...
Good point. Maybe her counsel said, don't show any emotion. I mean, I don't know. It's a good comment, Shannon.
Directly conscious thinking about it. And then I'd say after about 3 years, I started to feel a strong sense of responsibility for what had occurred. And then when the death penalty was abolished, I felt that, although I think that was done a lot sooner, but anyway, at some period of time I realized that I had a very strong responsibility in the kind of person that I became when I removed myself from all of Manson's thinking. And I've tried to live my life like that ever since. The shame comes and goes as the years pass.
If you had a point a year where you were able to get away from Manson's thinking, what year would that have been?
That was, I'd say about 74. It took me about 3 years to
Wow,
really.
that's actually really interesting. That's an interesting. I haven't heard anybody else really say that. Took her about 4 years to break Manson's spell.
Understand that I had grown away from it, and not just grown away from it, but to see what had really gone on during that year and a half that I was with him, and understand it.
And when did you actually take responsibility for your part in these killings?
I'd say that I think I never said that I wasn't responsible for what I did, but to understand to what degree I was responsible, I would say it took probably about 5 or 6 years.
It's been 75.
Yeah, about that. And ever since, it's a matter of through my therapies and talking in different groups, AA, NA, 12 steps, that kind of thing. It
That came much later.
keeps growing, yeah. But, you know, the awareness of it.
Okay, is there anything else that you can add to the help us understand what happened better that night? I'm going to go to your background. I'll start with your personal history first. You were born in Altadena, California. You're the second of two natural children of Paul Van Houten and the former Jane Edwards.
Yes.
Your natural brother Paul lives in San Francisco. Is he still there?
Yes, he is.
So this
you
coffee's
remained
going
with
to
your
burn
mother
my
after
face
your
off.
parents
I've
divorced
got it in
when
like
you were
one of those
14.
Yeti mugs. Keep
You
it
lived in
warm, but
Monrovia,
it takes forever to cool.
California. You graduated from
I see
Monrovia
the
High
steam
School at
coming
the
off
age of
that son of a
17 or
bitch.
18, after which time she went to live with her father and stepmother in Manhattan Beach, attending Sawyer's Business College for 1 year, graduating as a certified secretary, a skill which she apparently never put to
Born
use.
today's.
And I understand you did that when you were out on bond.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, for about 7 months?
Yes.
Okay.
And in here, I've continually had jobs that have kept my skill up.
Okay. You lived in Los Angeles County most of your life, but you also lived in San Francisco, San Jose, Indio, and Mendocino, where you apparently met Charles Manson and became one of the family, later moving to Spawn Ranch in Chatsworth, which was her home off and on for 2 or 3 years. Where did you go when you were off and you weren't living in Spawn Ranch?
Death Valley. And we stayed for a while at a place called Gresham Street. I think that was in Chatsworth. I'm not real sure anymore of exactly.
Was that with the family?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It says that this is going way back. It says you were never married, but apparently you got married while here.
Yeah, I was married for 6 months.
Okay. No children?
No.
I'll take myself off camera for a second in case I burn my mouth off.
Bobby Beausoleil?
Beausoleil.
Beausoleil? Yeah. And what was he to you?
I had met him first when I was in San Francisco. And I was with him at the time that I met
Born a nanny.
people from the ranch. And he and Charlie had a personal relationship, and so I met him really through Bobby. He was a sort of a boyfriend, not really. There were several women with him, but that was basically it.
You had one pregnancy at age 16, resulted in
Yes.
miscarriage in the third month,
Well, it was
was that
an
abortion? You were reared in the Presbyterian Church, in which you were quite active, as was the whole family. You sang in a choir, belonged to the youth fellowship, and attended camp every summer. As a very young girl, you belonged to the Bluebirds and later became a campfire girl and a Job's daughter. You, at that time, enjoyed dressmaking, dress designing, knitting, crocheting, needlework, and other arts and crafts. You also enjoyed all kinds of music and singing. Is that still true?
Not singing, but I enjoy music, and I still do a lot of needlework to relax.
Getting into your criminal background, in this, you're referring back to statements you made to the probation officer.
Okay.
It's the probation officer's report.
That's an interesting question, CH. Do you think do people think courts have become more theatrical than they were back then?
That you used LSD when you were 15. Your boyfriend introduced her to the practice, and she continued to use it intermittently thereafter. Was that this young man I just mentioned?
No, that was a different Bobby.
At first, you did tiny ones. On the weekends, you'd take big trips. You estimated that you'd taken over 300 trips, none of which were bad ones. Stated the probation officer, every experience is an experience. I don't know if it's bad one or not. We also used to take Benzedrine to get through high school, and sometimes we'd be taking LSD at the same time. Also had used marijuana, mescaline, and sniffed methadone. Back in the old days, my best friends were the dealers. She explained that she went to school with some of these people but did not go to their hangouts, and this is possibly the reason she was never arrested as a juvenile. She recalled at the ranch that LSD was used probably once during the week and maybe on weekends. Generally, they smoked grass every night. She added proudly that they grew it out there, but she did not like it. It did not do enough for her. She explained that the commercial was better, that it was treated somehow. She denies ever experimenting with heroin. As for alcohol, she used to drink wine as a sophomore in high school, and more recently at the ranch. Once in a while, she would drink a cold beer.
More or less.
As far as your arrest record, this is taken from the CII reports, the defendant statements. You had a number of aliases. Leslie Marie Bankston.
Sangston, I think it was.
Sangston? Okay.
Yeah.
Leslie Sue Owens, Lou Owens, Leslie Marie Owens, Lovella Alexandria, Louise Susan Alexander, Luella Maxwell Alexandria.
I don't remember a lot of them, but
Why did you use so many?
Charlie wanted us, whenever we were stopped, to use a different name so they could never trace any of us.
As far as arrest record, on 4/19/69, you were arrested for grand theft auto. You were released, insufficient evidence. You explained that you and several others were supposed to have taken a milk truck. They were all in it when apprehended by the police. Some dude drove. This apparently was one of the vehicles which had allegedly been given to them. On 8/16/69, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, grand theft auto, no disposition shown. The defendant scornfully explained that the sheriff's office had made a raid at the Spawn Ranch for a rusty old dune buggy found up in the hills on the ranch. About 26 or more were booked. 26 were booked for the one vehicle?
I know a lot were. I don't know the exact number, but there were at least 20 of us.
They spent 72 hours in custody, and they were released to go home. On 9/18/69, the Los Angeles Police Department was arrested for burglary, rejected by a district attorney, insufficient evidence to prosecute. The defendant, under the name Louise Susan Alexander, along with Brenda Marie McKay, was arrested by a security agent at the Broadway department store as they were allegedly making numerous purchases with a stolen Broadway credit card.
Hold up. Lakota coming through here while I was in the smoke back here. $9.99 hot coffee. I am now currently totally addicted to hot black coffee. All I currently drink is coffee and water. And this stuff is really fucking good. I don't know what I've been missing out on. It's the best. If you the same, pass the plate. $9.99 in the house. Thank you so much, Lakota. Appreciate that. Lakota, one of the G's, always coming through here. Love it. Thank you so much. Jessica for Justice coming through also. I think she's going to be streaming a little bit later. Love After Lockup on Kick. So keep an eye on that. I'll get you the link here in just a second. Everyone hanging this morning, I appreciate the shit out of it. Thank you so much. Please hit the like. That really helps us out in the algorithm. Give this a share. I'll pass it out on X. Give that a share. Give that a repost. Really helps us out, guys. Get the eyes on this. Love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Registered to W. Stoner Tracy. This card had been stolen in the West Los Angeles burglary on September 7th, 1969. The arrest records at the time indicated that you were transferred from San Francisco. Where'd you get the credit card?
Sorry to pause again so quickly, but I've never been a coffee person. I never really drank coffee. I've tried throughout the years and I always went back to soda. I was always a soda person, which is terrible, which is why I'm in the fucking position I'm in now, which is why I'm working on this diet. I'm working on not having refined crap sugar in me all the time. Yesterday I did have a cheat day, and pictures and a video is coming for members and Patreon, so that's going to be happening. Yeah, let me get Jessica's link here, man.
Nancy had it, and Charlie gave it to us. They were coming up with a lot of credit cards at that time. Manson didn't always let all of us know exactly what he was up to, and sometimes some of his ex-con friends would come by and we'd suddenly have credit cards, but I knew burglaries were going on, but I hadn't gone there.
Okay. On 10/10/89, it'd be 69. The arrest for 10/10/851 Grand Theft Auto. No disposition shown. It is noted in the two co-defendants cases.
That buzzing's actually not me on this one, CH. That's their audio. I am going to do a quick little fix the way I usually do, but I'm pretty sure that's on their side on this one.
Who were arrested by the same authority on the same charges.
Yeah, I think that's like a humming in there.
Was dropped on October 13, 1969, as they were released to Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office on a homicide charge. The defendant explained that the final booking was that of aiding and concealing stolen property, which was 2 dune buggies, a minx, and a coyote. She admitted that the 2 co-defendants were arrested at the same time. Were you ever convicted of any of these offenses?
No, I wasn't. I never was arraigned. I don't believe on any of them.
Okay. Were there any other arrests that are not here on the record?
I still hear it. I still hear the hum.
Not that I could remember.
Maybe it was the other one.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to share with us as far as your social and criminal history?
Well, there's one thing that keeps coming up that I'd like to clear up, and that's that when I was, I think it was 14, and it was in my psychiatric report, that I showed behavior that required psychiatric intervention. And I don't know how it happened that over the years that
Deborah, morning, welcome in here.
He stated like that.
I think you're already hanging out back there. Thank you, though.
Family and family counseling, and it wasn't because of my behavior, but that my father had left, and the marriage counselor wanted us to have brief counselings, and that was a concern to me.
I saw something in your documentation to the fact that your mother said that was what happened.
Yeah,
that was the case.
Yeah. I let her read the psych report, and she was concerned as well because that wasn't, the way it was then.
Right, at this point here, we're going to go to Commissioner Aceto, who will discuss with you post-conviction factors.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Van Houten, we're going to use the board report as submitted by your counselor, mainly for this report. There is an addendum to the report by your counselor, Pete Wharton.
Yes.
How long has that person been your counselor?
Boy, maybe a couple years. No, it couldn't be that. He wasn't my counselor last time. About a year and a half, maybe.
Okay, less than 2 years.
Yeah,
Right.
less than 2 years.
You didn't change.
No, I didn't change housing units. They changed counselors.
Just wonder how long they keep them with one client for how long. At any rate, the report is dated 9/26/91. It gives an overall post-conviction adjustment indicating that you, since your last hearing 12/21/89, you continued to program in an excellent manner. There has been no disciplinary activities. In fact, I only see in your file CDC 128, is that correct?
Yes.
Back in the early 70s. So you have consistently continued to remain disciplinary free while receiving excellent work grades, and it does indicate that you participated on a continuing basis in Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, and have taken an active role as a facilitator for the 12-step group. And also you became a vice chairperson of the AA and NA executive body. Is that elected by the
group.
prisoners?
Yes.
Okay.
I served for 1 year.
But what year was that? 89 or 90? 90, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay. Because this will cover 2 years here. And you did not review your C file in that you stated that your counselor has done that for you and you didn't feel it was necessary. I note that you received several laudatory chronos on the breakdown of your C file. Your work assignment right after your hearing, or maybe during your hearing in 89, you were assigned to the CNPR clerk
Yes.
job. You received exceptional work grades. And you were reassigned to academics education clerk in August of 90.
Yes.
All right. And then you received laudatory chronos for your involvement with the original concept of the CIW woman making gifts for the children who come to the visiting room on Christmas. That was in 1990. Another laudatory was for receiving for your work as a counter on 4/28/90 at the Victims Services Children at Risk walking.
This guy will put you to sleep. Dear Lord, he's barely able to read this. He's about to pass out on us. Check on this man.
Yes.
And then another one, they express sincere appreciation for your hard work on the Warden's /WAC banquet. That was in late 90. Continued devoted participation in AA and NA, completing 12-step study group on April 24/90, and on 2/23/90 you were elected, well, this is again vice chairperson of AA, but that's repetitive, I guess, for a 1-year period. You also acted as a facilitator for the 12-step group. And you did complete 12 weeks of group psychotherapy with Dr. Parker. It'd be 12 weeks, right?
Yes.
It looks like that would have been...
I'm not sure what happened. The video just sort of went out there. We're at 34:17. I just want to make sure. Okay.
It looks like that would have been...
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure it come back. I don't know. I'm going back to 34:17. Sorry.
It'd be 12 weeks, right?
Yes.
It looks like that would have been... 6/12/90. Continuing into 92, or excuse me, 91. You, 6/12/91, participated in arts and corrections for the past 2 years, and her work was selected and shown in 2 community art shows. Where were they, art shows?
One was in Northridge, and I'm not sure where the other one was. I think it was more local.
You didn't go out to that,
No, huh?
your material show. What kind of artwork did you have?
One was the reason
Fix
they were
the
shown in
camera.
art shows that when they give artistic classes here, the part of the funding is that there's some sort of a showing or through the Arts and Corrections group. And so one was a monoprint class where I had done some monoprinting, and the other was, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of a collage type thing.
Okay. That's painting now, not.
No, this was putting things together to make a box of some sort.
All right. Okay, received no disciplinary violation during 1991. Received 5 more laudatory crowns. Again, express appreciation was received by the Recreation Advisory Council for your expertise as a 60s dance consultant. What kind of dancing is that?
The oldies. They were putting on a fun day here, and they called some of the women in who were in their 40s to show the women that are in their 20s how to do the mashed potatoes and things like that. It was just
Nothing to do with Arthur Murray, then?
no.
And 6/11/91 also expressed appreciation for your participation in quote children at risk walkathon. Was that again, or was that the same one?
I think it was 2 different times. They have it once a year, and
Right.
each year I participate.
Right. In July of '91, you were commended for your responsibilities as vice chairperson for AA. Again, this is back from 290 to July 91.
Yeah.
So you went beyond a year in that.
Yeah, we were having to reform
Morning,
AA
Jay Money.
because it got so big here that I stayed over for a little as a vice chairperson while they tried to figure out how to deal with the large crowds of women coming.
And since your last hearing in '89, did you stay in AA all the time then?
Yes, I did.
And how long before 1989 did you participate in?
I believe I started in '86.
1986?
Yes.
Continuously?
Yes.
All right. And was that both or one or the other, depending on
You mean-
AA or NA?
Oh, they're all
Is that the
held
same group?
together.
Yeah, okay.
Each week they have someone different.
All right. And the 12 steps, the steps started when, '89?
I think that's when they might have started having them in 88 or 89. And then as the chairperson, vice chairperson, I was able to attend 12-step every Thursday night. Now I'm on a waiting list to get back in it.
Have you got a pretty good handle on 12 steps? Do you know
Yeah.
how it works? And
I think so.
Do you practice it, or not all the steps, but some of the steps?
Yes.
How many do you practice?
I believe I practice all of them now. It's been a slow process, but certainly listening to my probation report, it is easy to admit I had a drug problem, and it's something that I certainly have to be aware of.
And you also done some volunteer tutoring.
Yes, that's a new program from this year. It's the most exciting thing I do, I think, in here.
The inmate literacy program? Read?
Yeah. Outside volunteers come once a week, and we work one-on-one teaching women how to read.
And then you participate in, added to some positive contributions to the recreational department as a reliable and conscientious weightlifting instructor. for
Yes.
2 years. I don't see no muscle.
I do it for toning.
Okay. You done that 3 nights a week for 2 years?
Yeah, I've been doing it for about 5 or 6, but
Years.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's self-help. Completed 12-step study group at 891 and acted as a facilitator for AA and NA from January 91 through April 91. And completed an 8-week, 120-hour course for substance abuse, which was entitled Life Plan for Recovery.
Yes.
I thought that was just about a 2-week program.
No, that's the Breaking Barriers. Life Plan is a 3-hour program a day for
And
7
then,
weeks.
does that also require a facilitator?
No, it was handled by contracted people from San Diego.
All right. And then you attended several psychiatric consultations with Dr. Armstrong. I don't have a date on that. You know when that was?
There was a chrono written, it was last year. Oh. The chrono's dated January 30th, 91.
Yeah, I see. It's a 2-pager, okay. Armstrong was the doctor. All right, that's good to document it. And that's about all I have. I would like to review a little bit about, you do have a BA degree, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Yes,
What was your major?
English literature.
And what year?
Oh, jeez.
Well, don't tell me that.
82.
All right. What other things that you let's go to vocation and see what you've accomplished there. And I'm sure you have some vocational awards or.
I never entered into a vocational program in the prison because I have my skill as a secretary, and I've always had jobs in here that have required my use of it. My shorthand skill, typing. I've learned data entry in the new job that I have, and
Data entry?
yes, and I'd like to take data processing, but that's a program where you really need to know. I should take it after I'm found suitable, because the information I would learn at it is something where you have to keep applying it. So.
Data processing. Okay. You've never done any work in a PIA?
No, I've never worked prison industries. Actually, once the institution knew I could type and all of that, they've always wanted me in.
Clerical field?
Yeah,
Okay.
using my clerical skills.
What is your pay number then in terms of that?
I'm $56 a month. It's lead.
Lead person?
Yeah, there's 6 women that work in my area, and I have to know all of their jobs and just make sure everything runs
You
right.
changed jobs again since you got moved out of the CMPR's office?
Yes,
You changed again to a clerical job? I see that. What's your current job?
currently I'm lead clerk for the program administrator of Unit 3.
Okay, Unit 3 administrator. All right, so you got anything else you want to tell us that we should know about? I think we covered your schooling, we covered your vocation. You don't really have anything positive in terms of that, except your clerical position, which was learned through your advancement in typing and shorthand.
Yes.
And you learned that in prison too,
No, I had that before I came
before you
in.
got out. Okay. All right. If you don't have anything else, I'm going to move to your
There is one thing.
Sure.
That when my counselor wrote up this report, I was in the middle of a group therapy with Dr. Klebel, and I finished that one.
Okay.
And right now I'm in a therapy group with Dr. Helene Parker again. There's about a 1.5 year waiting list, and so
Okay,
They all became
your
available
reports,
now.
the psych reports at 11/189, which was your last hearing, and the most recent one is October 1591 by J.J. Ponath, P-O-N-A-T-H. We're going to go through that, and then you must have a chrono with Dr. Arbel, is it?
Klebel.
Klebel.
Yeah, here's a copy here.
Let me see that one if you have.
Yeah. It wasn't done until the 5th of December.
Because the first one I see here is a year old. From Armstrong. Okay. Oh, I see here. 12/5/91. That's recent, right?
Yes.
No, that isn't up at all. You just received this one. Participated in psychotherapy group of weekly sessions from August to October 91. This group was designed to explore the circumstances of the criminal case and to gain insight into the causes and responsibilities of it. Ms. Houten has participated actively and has used the group to mature emotionally. Signed 12/5/91 by Dr. Klebel, K-L-E-B-E-L. Anything else?
No.
All right. If I go to the psych reports and picking up, that report is 4 or 5 pages in length, and also included some psychological testing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you did account, again, your account of the crime was repeated somewhat sporadically for the doctor. And so that you did want to clear up some of the confusion that may have existed in the past regarding your participation in the Manson crimes. And clearly, it's you were convicted of counts 6, 7, and 8. 6 and 7 were for the murder of first degree of the LaBiancas, and then count 8 was a conviction for the conspiracy to commit murder. You were never charged or convicted of the Tate murders, which involved 6 or 7 people.
5.
5 people. And somewhere I read where, if it's correct or not, and it's not in here, that Manson was on site there at the LaBianca's. Is that correct?
Outside?
On site, on the site.
Oh, he went into the house first.
Did he have the victims tied up?
I can't remember if they were tied or not. I think Mr. LaBianca was, but I don't believe Mrs. LaBianca was.
Was that part of the job that he wanted you to do?
Probably.
You're not sure.
Yeah,
Okay. Going through this report, I'm going to try very hard to pick up here. And, you still indicate a lot of the story of our account is a little bit slips your mind. And you ask you to do things which you already mentioned today, and then asked you if you could kill somebody. You responded to the affirmative, and you described somewhat. First thing you were told to do was to hold Mrs. LaBianca down with.
Shit, Lakota not messing around this morning. $4.99. Lakota, thank you so much. Out of control. Lakota, you're fucking awesome. I love you.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
Yeah. I'm also giving you a little ODB just because it's ODB. ODB is my favorite rapper. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Pat, your crime partner, aside from Mr. Watson, and of course you explained that you are ashamed and extremely sorry. Spent the last 22 years trying to make up for it. Past psychiatric history indicates that you were involved with psychiatric treatment at age 14. I guess you explained that again to us for the record. And your diagnosis wound up being poly substance abuse, and of course it's in remission at this point. You have not been diagnosed or treated for any mental disorder. Vocational educational programming, you was assigned as an academic clerk from 891. You reassigned. Well, we already covered that. You received exceptional grades for all your work. You also volunteered to teach inmates weightlifting. We did that already. Bachelor of Arts degree is all 1982. And then institutional adjustment, of course, has been excellent. Numerous laboratories. This is just a review of what you and he talked about. Says you received one minor disciplinary action in 1975. What was that for?
A woman in the detention unit yelled out hello to me, and I said hello back, and an officer passed by and
I've seen that.
yelling out of bounds or something like that.
It was on site. She said hello. I said hello back. She said, bitch, what you mean by that? I said, bitch, we fighting.
Okay. Functioning is okay. It's normal. You were seen by Dr. Armstrong for individual psychotherapy for 6 sessions, which we just explained here by Ocrano, saying that that ended at 1:30:91, and of course the 120 hours for life plan for recovery. March 91. Mental status, really judgment and insight are good, and the remarkable ability for introspection. Feels significant remorse for her crime and has been committed to her rehabilitation since her incarceration. Interpretation of the psychological, the battery of the test given to Miss Van Houten include the MMPI house, comma house tree person, comma draw person, and Bender Gestalt, Gestalt. On the Bender, says that your protocol was within normal limits. No indication of any brain damage. MMPI indicates that it appears that you answered the questions openly and honestly, and all scales were within normal limits. Does not appear to be suffering from gross psychopathology. Defendant's clinical scales are consistent with college-educated persons and usually indicate a concern regarding social problems of the world. Scores are also consistent with women who seek comfort from men and may see themselves as less powerful than male authority figures. Ms. Houten's MMPI profile is not consistent with a psychiatric disorder. And the drawings, again, considering the defendant has spent nearly her entire adult life incarcerated, it is not unusual for the inmate to experience some anxiety regarding her sexuality, which was described in that paragraph. House tree person, again, replacement of the tree is the characteristic of a person who has grown up under the influence of dominant mother and an emotional, unavailable father. And his conclusions for the psychologist, I figured it was her. Every time I say its initials got to be her. At any rate, she indicates in her conclusion that you have an impressive, there's a central file and worked consistently to rehabilitate yourself and has been instrumental in helping her peers. And it is abundantly clear to this examiner that none of the previous traits and behavior contributing to her instant crime are operating now. In fact, she can only be the subject of much continuing commendation for her inspiration to others with her efforts and to improve conditions around her. And the last paragraph indicates that you experience significant remorse for the crime, have a solid recovery, and plans to remain active in AA and NA once paroled, and also has rehabilitated herself, obtained a BA, and is preparing herself to become someone who would make a considerable contribution to society and be a pivotal psychologist and the interview indicates that you should be given every consideration for parole. And that's a positive report.
That is her face. She's just like, really? That literally, I paused it perfectly. Like, I mean, I guess she feels the vibe. Maybe she's like, yeah, this isn't happening. Not going to happen this time. Maybe in another 30 years.
You got anything you want to add to that report?
No.
Okay. Turn it back over to the chair.
Okay. At this point in the hearing, we'll turn to Deputy Commissioner Smith, and she'll discuss the parole plans.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the plans have remained the same. I'm reviewing the board report for May of 1987.
Should go into a part 2 here. Usually does, which is a short one. It's the decision.
Good time now.
May watch another one here. It's still pretty early. I think I'm going to watch another one of these.
Approximately 4:25.
Just got started, baby.
And all participants that were here prior to the recess are back again. Ms. Van Houten, we have a unanimous decision. The panel reviewed all information received from the public and relied on the following circumstances in concluding that you're not suitable for parole and would pose an unreasonable risk or danger to society and a threat to public safety for release from prison. Commitment offense. The offense was carried out in especially heinous, atrocious, cruel, and or callous manner. The offense was carried out in a manner which exhibits the callous disregard for the life and or...
I think that audio is in this video. I don't think it's... I'll do the thing again, but I think it's in this old audio.
Multiple victims were attacked, injured, or killed in the same or separate incidents. The victim was abused, defiled, and mutilated during or after the offense. The murder of the victim did not deter the prisoner from later committing other criminal offenses, specifically theft of murder victims' personal property, and later burning.
I still hear it. I still hear the same noise.
Evidence. These conclusions are drawn from the statement of facts wherein the prisoner and two crime partners tied up husband and wife victims, covered their heads with pillowcases, and stabbed them to death. Female victim was stabbed 42 times after stabbing female victim approximately 16 times.
Sorry.
The prisoner wiped off fingerprints, took victim's property, and later burned evidence which could tie her to the murder. The prisoner has an escalating pattern of criminal conduct, a persistent pattern of tumultuous relationships and or criminal behavior, which began at an early age, an unstable social history. Prisoner has an unstable social history and prior criminality, which includes using drugs at an early age, admitted to over 300 trips on LSD, used marijuana, mescaline, and sniffed methadone. Has 3 arrests for auto theft, no convictions, 1 arrest for burglary, no conviction. Under this section, has used at least 7 aliases. The panel makes the following findings. The prisoner needs to continue therapy in order to face, discuss, understand, and cope with stress in a non-destructive manner. The prisoner should be commended for being disciplinary free since incarceration, excellent work reports, and involvement in self-help programming. However, these positive aspects of her behavior does not outweigh the fact of suitability. You're being denied parole for 2 years. 2-year denial, the hearing panel finds that it's not reasonable to expect that parole would be granted at a hearing during the following 2 years. The specific reasons for this finding are as follows. The prisoner committed the offense in especially heinous, atrocious, and or cruel manner. Specifically, she and 2 crime partners stabbed to death 2 victims. She later wiped fingerprints, took victims' property, and burned evidence. A longer period of time is required to evaluate her suitability in view of the prisoner's long history of criminality and misconduct, including extensive use of drugs and 4 arrests for property crimes with no convictions. Recommendations to the prisoner. The panel recommends that the prisoner remain disciplinary free, that she continue to participate in self-help and therapy program. That concludes this reading of the decision. You have been programming very well. The crime that you committed, as I mentioned a couple times in the reading of this decision, is very heinous, and you dug yourself quite a hole, and it's going to take a little time to get out of it. So, any comments from Commissioner Cito?
Good to see you again.
It's nice to see you too.
Mr. Smith?
I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank
That
you.
concludes this hearing.
All right. Thank
Back to your cell.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to do another one. That one went by pretty freaking quick. We're still pretty early here. There's still a few more in here that I haven't watched yet, so let's see. Watch the 93 Krenwinkel one. There's a 97 one I haven't seen of her. There's another Van Houten 2 years later. May do that one. There's tons of hers, actually, all the way up to 2000. Let's go back into, let's go to the next Van Houten one. 1993. Looks like she's got the same attorney next to her, trying to help her out. Let's roll right into her 1993 parole hearing as well. Again, thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. You guys are freaking awesome. Murder Church, hanging and banging.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
We're not messing around. You know that.
Son of a bitch!
And yeah, we're going to go right into it right now. Actually, let me give you a little stinger. Murder Church stinger. I haven't hit in a minute. We'll be right back. Let's rock and roll.
Being here. And Ms. Van Houten, when we come to you, if you please give us your CDC number.
Yes.
I'll start and we'll go to my right. I'm Carol Bentley, Bentley, Commissioner Board of Prison Terms.
Tom Giaquinto, GIAQUINTO, Commissioner Board of Prison Terms.
Leslie Van Houten, capital VAN, capital HOUTE.
Well, here's the next time, 1993, 2 years later.
And W1337A.
See what we get.
Dan Morotek, MROTEK, Ms. Van Houten's attorney.
Quick plug here, just real quick. That Amazon link that just popped into the chat, guys, save that. Save that link. If you use that link and do your regular shopping, I know everyone loves to shop on Amazon every single day a lot of times. Go through that link to get on Amazon and then purchase anything like you normally would. That helps Publicly Buzzed out a little bit. We get a little bit of a kickback there. Thanks. A little bit of a Amazon link commercial from Publicly Buzzed.
And I'm Stephen K.K.A.Y., Head Deputy District Attorney, Los Angeles County.
Manny Guadarrama, GUADERRAMA, Commissioner Board of Prison Terms.
And then we'll go to the back of the room.
Jenny Gutman,
New hairdo, new me.
TEIS. I'm a reporter with the Press Enterprise.
Officer Stallone, SLOA and Security.
Denise Schreiner, ABC News, SCHREINER.
John Sheriff, SHARAF, Technicians,
Sam Cantor, PAINTER, ABC.
Ms. Van Houten, once again, we're going to be determining whether or not you're suitable for parole. We've taken into consideration all the information we received from the public, and we'll be looking at all the aspects of the crime.
I don't think I have any of those in here.
In the institution. You'll have the opportunity to make any clarifications or submit any documents. And I would like to ask now if you have any documents that you would like to submit at this time.
Just my attorney has some additional.
Oh, shit! Cammy Q coming through real quick. What the hell? Ladies and gentlemen, Cammy Q coming through. Cammy Q coming through. That's how you say that right quick. Cammy Q coming through. 1999, passing the plate. Thank you, Cammy. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Let me give you a little bit of love. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Cammy through, coming through. That's a shirt. That's a shirt specifically for you, Cammy. Love it. Thank you so much.
Chronos on, it's a certificate for Helene Parker's therapy groups because she doesn't write.
Okay, yes, I will pass this over.
Yeah.
The structure of the hearing today, I will be going over with you the crime that you committed, your previous criminal history, and your social history. Then Mr. Guadarrama will be going over with you what are the post-convictions. That's what you've been doing since you've been in the institution. Mm-hmm. Then Mr. Giaquinto will be going over with you what your parole plans are. Then following that part of the hearing, the panel members will have the opportunity to ask you any questions. Then we will go to the Deputy District Attorney. He will have the opportunity to ask any questions, but since this is not an adversarial hearing, he'll ask the questions through the panel. Then we'll go to your attorney, and he too will have the opportunity to ask questions. Then we'll go to concluding statements, first by the Deputy District Attorney, then by your attorney, and then by you if you so choose. Then we will go into recess, and we will call everyone back when we've completed our deliberations. And I think you're pretty much familiar with these.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now understand this is your hearing, so if you have any questions or need any clarification of anything that's going on, please feel free to ask us.
Okay.
You will receive a tentative decision today. It will become effective approximately 60 days from now. You will also automatically receive a transcript of this hearing, and then you'll have 90 days in which you can appeal the decision of the hearing. Okay? Now, you have certain rights, and those are timely notice of the hearing and an opportunity to review your C-file. And I'll ask your attorney if those rights have been met so far.
Yes.
All right. You also have the right to an impartial panel. Do you have a problem with any of the panel members that appear before you?
No.
Okay. All right. I have here a document checklist that I'm going to ask your attorney to review to make sure that we're all working with the same documents in our packets. Okay, and if you wouldn't mind handing that to the Deputy District Attorney.
Appears to be fine.
Okay, thanks. This will become Exhibit 1. Okay, I will ask Mr. Guadarrama if there's any confidential information that we'll be using.
Yes, there's 42,000 signatures on petitions and letters that are in the confidential file, and they'll be addressed later on by Mr. Chickman.
Okay, all right, thank Yeah, you don't have to answer any of our questions. You don't have to admit to the offense, but we do accept as true what the court findings are. And I will ask Mr. Wojciech, is there any objections that you have at this point, any preliminary objections?
Yes, if we could go over these briefly. First of all, I hope that Mr. Giaquinto, is that the correct pronunciation? You are assigned the parole plan portion of the hearing?
Yes.
We have sent to the institutions original letters which consist of Ms. Van Houten's parole plans. The names and addresses of those people we would ask to remain confidential.
We won't have a problem with doing that.
All right, thank you very much. I've also been informed by some of the people writing letters that the board has changed its address and that some have come back. Is that in fact true?
Our address has been, yes, we've moved about a year ago.
Well, and under 2028, if letters return to me, we'd have to submit them after the hearing as post-hearing information within 60 days, in case some people have letters returned to them. Third matter, regarding the packet lists among and under the miscellaneous provisions crime partners parole decisions. I noticed in looking under the miscellaneous crime partner material that there is material from Robert Beausoleil's hearing, and there's also 2 pages of an inmate whose name is blacked out, but you can read it. It's apparently Bruce Davis. The crime partners who are listed for Ms. Van Houten in the cumulative case summary are Mr. Manson, Ms. Grenwinkle, and Ms. Atkins, I'm sorry. So there would be an objection, basically on grounds of relevance on my part, considering Mr. Beausoleil's material and Mr. Davis's materials, which are brief. I have read the Soledad board report on Mr. Beausoleil's commitment offense, and my client's name was not mentioned in there. Frankly, I don't know why this material is here. He's not technically a crime partner. He's not one of the defendants. And so I'd ask you to consider that particular objection to it. And those are the remarks that I have.
Okay, all right. I can just tell you that we won't have, the panel members won't be using the crime partner information. Okay, and those that are unrelated to this crime. I believe you also should be indicating that Mr. Watson's crime is a crime partner and his information is in here too. Okay, all right. Will your client be testifying today?
Yes, she will.
Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, all right. As I indicated, we are going to be taking the statement of facts from the appellate decision, pages 3 through 4, and that states that Leslie Van Houten was a member of a group called the Manson Family who was responsible for 2 sets of homicides in August 1969. Manson family members Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkle, Linda Kasabian, and Tex Watson, under orders of family leader Charles Manson, killed Sharon Tate Polanski, Wojciech Frykowski, Abigail Folger, Jay Sebring, and Stephen Parent on the night of August 9, 1969. The next night, August 10th, Manson family members Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkle, and Leslie Van Houten, at the order of Manson, killed Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. These homicides...
Everybody just coming in here, hit that like, get that like button to go and get us in the algorithm. Appreciate it. Holy shit, Shannon L going to come through real quick. Again, Murder Church, hanging and banging. And what we got? Shannon L gifting out. J Money going to pick that thing up. Hell yeah. Welcome in here.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. And members here on YouTube are about to start getting some really good shit. Like I'm working specifically, my mind is focused on members and Patreons. I want to make sure people that are taking the leap, whether you're being gifted or whether you're paying monthly on either service, is going to get some dope shit. So it's coming. It's some dope. Started last night with an absolute insane show with Jay. Okay, so that shit's going to keep on popping, guys. Beers in the chat also when we get a new member in here. Sarah knows what's up. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's keep rolling. Hit that like. Share that some bitch.
As the, quote, Tate killings, unquote, and the LaBianca killings, unquote. Both sets of killings were instigated by Charles Manson to trigger off his so-called, quote, helter-skelter, unquote, revolution. The killings were grotesque, gruesome, horrendous affairs involving, in most instances, a great deal of cutting and hacking as per the instruction of Charles Manson. And that completes the statement of facts. Ms. Van Houten, I guess I would like to know when you first became aware of the murderous activities that Charles Manson was directing.
About 2 weeks before the Tate murders, Manson had started changing his talking about surviving the helter-skelter war, and that perhaps we would have to do something to instigate it because it wasn't coming along as quickly as he had anticipated. I didn't know.
Like that loud humming there? That's in the video, right? You guys hear that one?
Know specifically when it would be starting.
I'm losing my mind with the hums. I'm losing my mind with the humming. Holy shit. Oh, Viv's going to fix that real quick. Coming through. $20 holler, as Bob would say. Love you, Steve. Passing the plate. Love you, Viv. Absolutely. And if you're not following Art with Viv, you're fucking up. You done fucked up. She's amazing. She's dropping content all the time. She's got an amazing Patreon that I'm a part of too also. But she's amazing, dude. She can literally teach you how to do fucking art. Like, I have no ability whatsoever. I have no artistic ability. But she can actually get you to a place to where you can visualize it and see it. And that's pretty impressive if you ask me. Thank you so much, Viv. Love you. Amazing. Good morning. Good morning, Murder Church.
Murders the next day, I knew that they had started.
So his original plan, because of the supposed revolution that was coming, was just to go out to the desert. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And when did he start initially talking about that?
He started talking about that around, I would say around February of 1969, early winter. We were up in the desert, and he had gone into L.A., and when he came back, he said that he had had a vision or an experience.
You son of a bitch!
And that we would have to go back to L.A. and start preparing to save people from the revolution.
So, and then it was just 2 weeks before this took place that he started talking about murdering people to instigate the revolution.
Right, beginning it ourselves.
This is repetitive, no doubt about it, right? Like we're hearing, and this one's even more repetitive than the other. I mean, at least we have different folks talking about the incident and their part in it. So this is going to be pretty repetitive from what we've just seen, but. And she has a few more on Court TV here. I think she has a 97 one and a 2000 one on here. I want to, like Sarah said, I want to see the one where she actually got paroled. I want to see how that goes. I want to see her face in that moment when she walks back through the door, like we've been seeing. Everybody comes in and they just get, no, you're not getting out. What do they actually say? Well, shit, you know what? You're getting out. The fuck? Are you kidding me? That would be crazy. Real quick, let's show a little bit of love for Jessica for Justice, also here on YouTube, but also on Kick. That's where her parties happen. Glad to be here. Love you all. And she has been a member for 2 freaking months now. Holy crap, that's awesome.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
And did everybody kind of go along with that?
Yes.
Nobody ever questioned him?
No, a few people left. A woman named Ella left. I can't remember, but a few people left.
Some of them left because they didn't.
No one ever spoke out. Okay. After we were all arrested, lots of people said they didn't believe in it, but they didn't indicate that at the time.
Okay, so a lot of people said they didn't believe he'd actually do it, that he would go through with it. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, or that they believed him, or that they would have been participants, but that was not what they were saying at the time that it was going on.
Okay, all right. So the night that the group left for the Tate murders, were you aware that they were going?
Not specifically. The only thing I had an indication that something was going to happen. Pat Krenwinkel and I were in a small room taking care of the children, and Manson came in and said to Pat to leave with him. And so, only because the conversation had changed in the last few, like I say, the weeks before, I felt something was happening, but I didn't know specifically.
Okay.
It wasn't a plan.
Did you ask to go?
No.
Okay. So then you stayed with the children, and Ms. Krenwinkel then left?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What happened when they returned?
The next day, I'm a little cloudy on this part. Because I don't know from my direct memory. I'm either going on things I testified to in the past or whatever. I saw it on the news with Pat, and I had walked with Pat. Pat and I were very close at the time. And she said that they were very young and it seemed wrong or not right. And I felt at that time that because she had gone and I felt that what we were doing was a mission that needed to be done, I felt that if they went again.
There is something to that, right? And I know people look into that stuff a lot more today. Maybe that's because of the internet and the knowledge is out there. But there's something to color schemes, right? Like red sets off a certain tone for people, imagery in their head. Like, now you're right. There is something to probably in this position. You know, she's trying to get. I mean, red is literally the worst thing you could wear in her position, honestly. But yeah, there's something to that.
That I wanted to go. I wanted to go and be a good soldier and surrender myself for what I believed in.
So it didn't have, watching this on the news, because I remember, you know, it just seemed so terrifying and so awful, and that all these people were brutally murdered. That didn't have an impact on you?
You know, at that point, I was a shell of a person. You know, I saw it and it wasn't real. I don't think the impact of...
Has anyone seen any interviews since she's gotten out? That'd be actually really interesting. I think I have. She just went straight to hiding. Maybe not. Maybe there's some out there. When it first happened, it was hot in the news for like a week. That's how that shit happens in news and true crime. So it basically disappeared.
Really, what the murdering was hit me until we were in the LaBianca home. It was like abstract concepts at that time. And there had been lots of talk prior to that by Manson on, I think, desensitizing us as people.
But as I recall in the news that was being done on that, there were bodies that were shown covered up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And these were just totally innocent victims. It just had no effect. So then when did you know that they were going to go again the next night?
I remember late evening. I think I was on the boardwalk, and Charlie, again, I'm telling you how I remember this part 25 years later. Parts of the crime are very clear to me that will never leave me. Other parts, I'm not trying to be evasive. They just aren't that clear. But that evening, I believe that Tex and the others were getting close. And Charlie came up to me and asked me, did I believe enough to believe that I could go with them and that I could kill? Was I crazy enough to believe in him? And I said yes.
Okay, did you ask to go prior to that or indicated?
No, but everything in my personality, you know, body language, I made it very clear I wanted to go.
And what about others that were there? Were there others still out at the ranch that didn't want to go?
No one was indicating, I don't want to go.
Okay.
It was sort of an unspoken thing. I assumed everyone would have went.
Okay.
And it wasn't until really the first trial that I found out that people didn't believe or, you know, voiced that they were not as involved.
All right. So then, what time is it when you leave?
It was dark.
It's dark? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the time.
And you have with you Charles Manson's
in the
with
car.
you?
Okay, in the car is Linda Kasabian was driving. Charlie was sitting in the front seat with her. And I don't think there was anyone else in the front seat. In the back seat, Steve Grogan, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and myself.
All right. And then how long a time had you spent driving?
A long time. And we stopped at one house, and he went up and looked in the window and said no because there were children that lived there. We stopped by a church, and he went and he looked in, and he said that he wanted to do something to the minister or something, but he didn't find him. I think he wanted to put the minister up on the cross. And then we drove
this stuff wasn't getting through.
Most of the time I was sleeping.
Okay. All right. Okay, so go ahead.
And for a long time, I was concerned about the fact that I would sleep, but a psychologist explained to me later that sometimes you do that when you're a little overwhelmed. You know, that it's an escape, but I slept quite a bit. Finally, we pulled up in front of the LaBianca home.
And any idea why that was selected?
No, none at all. And
was it an affluent-looking home? I mean,
Letter J Money, thanks for hanging, dude. Have a great Sunday, man.
At the time, I couldn't really, I had no idea where we were. I know now that it was.
Yo, Drew, we have went through one full, complete parole hearing so far. We're on the second one for Van Houten, so, you know, it'd actually be worth it going back and checking it, but it is kind of, you know, a lot of the same bullshit. It is repetitive, but, man, thank you for coming in here, Drew. What's up?
But at the time, it was a home.
okay.
We pulled up to the house. I'm not clear on some of the things up until I go in the house. I know that Manson went in the house, and I'm not sure if Watson went in the house also. I'm confused on that.
But yet, the LaBiancas were tied up.
Right.
So it probably wasn't just Manson alone that could have gone in.
Right. Yeah. And Manson came back out.
And wasn't there some issue that Manson wanted to show you how to do it right? I read that someplace that he felt the night before things.
And I'm not sure if I heard that personally or if I've overheard it and read it myself.
With the amount of ads that Shannon L gets, I don't know what the fuck that is. I should be a rich motherfucking man. Like, what the fuck, dude? That's crazy, Shannon. Like, I don't have the ad set on aggressive. Like, there's 3 different stages you can set them on. Mine's on the lowest one. And I think you're the only one that just gets absolutely obliterated with ads like that. Like, but also, when I watch YouTube, I get obliterated with ads. So I hate that. I'm sorry. That's bullshit.
I hope you understand. I'm trying to go as much on what I absolutely remember and not lots of the information that, you know, like these days there's lots of speculation of why this house, why that. And I'm trying not to cloud my memory with those things. Okay. So then Manson came back out, and he selected Pat and I to go in the house. And at some point, I remember him telling Watson that all of us were to do something and to not frighten the people like he had the night before. That's why I'm not sure if Watson was in the house or not, because I seem to remember him talking to Watson. Anyway, Pat and I walked into the house, and we went into the kitchen, and Pat got a knife out of the kitchen, and we were told to take Mrs. LaBianca into the bedroom.
And are they frightened?
Yes, they were. And it was at that point I began to feel the realness of the situation that I was in. Up until then, it had all seemed like abstracts, like can you kill? You know.
Dude, it almost sounds like a dog panting. Like it just went into.
And did you get a knife in the kitchen?
No.
I can also hear it as being like a fan. Just.
And we went into the bedroom, and Mrs. LaBianca was asking, you know, what's going on? What are you doing? And her head was covered with a pillowcase.
Did you do that?
I don't remember. I probably did. I don't remember ever seeing her face. So Pat and I were in the bedroom with her, and we could hear Mr. LaBianca being stabbed. And I was trying to.
Was he screaming?
I don't remember him screaming. I remember her screaming for him. And I remember thinking, I don't feel right saying this because of the people that love Mrs. LaBianca, but I remember thinking to myself how much she loved him. That was her thought, her concern for him.
Okay, she obviously knew he was being stabbed.
You could hear it. You could hear the guttural sounds of him dying. And I tried to hold Mrs. LaBianca down while Pat stabbed her. And I was confused and torn inside. I wanted to do what Manson had asked us to do. And I was battling with my own sense of I was in something that I was not capable of handling. And I didn't hold her down well. And she picked the lamp up. And I don't really know if she even knew she had the lamp. She was struggling for her life. And Pat went to stab her, and she hit her collarbone, and the knife bent. And I don't remember if Pat said to me, go get Tex, or if I just did. I ran out of the bedroom and called to Tex and said that we were not capable of, or we were not able to kill her. At that point, Tex ran into the bedroom. I stood in the hallway, and I looked into a blank room that was like a den. And I stood there until Tex turned me around and handed me a knife, and he said, do something. I went back in the bedroom, and Mrs. LaBianca was laying on the floor on her stomach, and I stabbed her numerous times in the back.
Okay, do you know how she got on the floor?
No. I had my back to the room. I stared into an empty room.
And was she screaming?
And I don't have the sound memory. Okay. And I talked to a psychologist about that. From the time I left the room till the time Tex turned me around, I think that hearing Mr. LaBianca die was too much.
Okay. So did Tex do any of the stabbing then?
Yeah, he's the one that, when I went into the bedroom, Mrs. LaBianca was alive and on the bed. When I went back in the bedroom, she was laying on the floor. And I assumed she was dead, but I did not know for sure that she was.
Okay, so I kind of missed something here. Then Tex went into the room while you were
Tex went into the bedroom when I called to her. I called to him and told him that Pat and I were not able to kill her.
Okay, so he goes in,
Yes.
presumably stabs her because they were stabs to the front
Yes.
portion of her body. Then she's on the floor when he gives you a knife and tells you to go in and do something,
Yes.
and then you stab her repeatedly.
In the back.
Okay, and not to this day knowing whether she was alive or dead at that point.
I assumed she was, but I didn't know for sure.
Okay, all right. Then what did you do?
I began to wipe off fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for as long as I could. And
And what were the others doing?
opened drawers, and I don't know. Tex was still taking a shower. And I was very uncomfortable, and I wanted out of the house. And Manson had told him that everyone was to change their clothes, and I didn't have a change of clothes with me. And I didn't have anything on my clothes. And I asked Tex, could I not change my clothes because I didn't need to? And he said no, that, Manson had wanted everyone to, and for me to get clothes out of Mrs. LaBianca's closet. And so I went and I found her clothes. And I wore them. And then...
Others brought a change of clothes with them?
Yeah.
So like they knew that there was going to be like a slaughter and they were going to get covered with blood, so they brought a change of clothes with them?
It was just part of the, getting ready to go. I don't know why I didn't.
So then you went in and put on her clothes?
Yes, I did.
And you hitchhiked back to the ranch?
Yes, and when we left, I believe Tex, I'm not sure, but I believe that it was Tex, went into the refrigerator and got cheese and chocolate.
Right there at the house?
No, we went and we hid in the bushes somewhere around the neighborhood. I don't, it was nearby until sunlight. And then when the sun came up, we hitchhiked back to the ranch.
What did you think when you saw this on the news then the next day?
I don't think I did.
Yeah. What did you do the next day?
I burnt the clothes. You're talking about...
Or that day.
Okay,
okay.
That day. I went back to the back farmhouse, and It's at the ranch. It was in a back area. The ranch was a movie set, and so the back farmhouse was where many of us were staying. And I went back to the back farmhouse, and I burnt the clothes. And Tex had taken some money from the house, and I was counting the money with Diane Lake.
How much money was taken?
I believe it was $10 and change. I don't know why he took it. It wasn't a robbery. And
$10, bro.
After that, I don't remember too much, other of what I did different. Other than I talked to Diane. Tex found out I had talked to her, and he told me not to talk to anyone else again. He was angry at me. And that confused me a little because I thought everyone was involved. And I didn't understand now why there were things that weren't to be discussed in the group.
Then did you leave? Did you all leave the ranch?
Shortly after the murders, Manson had Pat Krimwinkle and I go and stay at a place called Fountain of the World. And I don't know where Susan went, but at that point Manson more or less kept us removed from the others until we all went to the desert for the final time.
Okay. Now, these were 2 nights of just vicious killings, and then they just stopped. Did Manson decide there wasn't a need for any more?
I have no idea what he was thinking. It was my impression that other people were going to do things and that it was a matter that everyone would end up doing something.
What was your relationship with Manson?
I would say that I was a secondary person to him. I think that Lynn Frome and Pat Krenwinkel and some of the women that had been with him longer were more intimately involved with him, and perhaps more in love with him.
Did you have an intimate relationship with him?
Early on I did, but he viewed me as Bobby Beausoleil's girlfriend or woman. And Bobby Beausoleil was very important to Manson. And he viewed me as the way to keep Bobby Beausoleil around the ranch. And so I think that I was absolutely intrigued and mesmerized by Manson. And I believed that he was someone very special and extraordinary. And I think that perhaps he viewed me as a way to try to keep and lure Bobby to the ranch to be with him.
All right. Is there anything else you want to share with the panel about your commitment offense?
Only that I feel that sometimes when I talk about it, that I sound distant and removed. And this situation of talking to you is one that already is difficult and very public. And I would just want you to know that I don't make light of my crimes. And I accept responsibility for what I did. And I have spent years learning to live with it. That as I sobered and grew away from Manson, living with my conscience and what I have done has been a very difficult thing for me. And I hope that you understand that I also understand the horrendousness of what I did. That it's something that I live with every day. And so if I seem to be speaking of it in a distant way or...
Well, what do you think of the victims?
I feel that they didn't deserve what they got. They were innocent people that were preyed upon. I feel very terrible about that. to really work at learning to live with it. Like sometimes when things are going very good in my life, I'm feeling great happiness, I'll think to myself, you shouldn't have happiness, Leslie. You know what I mean? It's a day-to-day thing that I deal with. I feel absolutely horrible about it.
Your previous criminal history there was apparently you got arrested for some of the grand theft auto that had to do with some of the vehicles that were out at the ranch, is that right?
Yes.
But there was nothing that came of those, right? There was no disposition?
No.
Of those? Yeah.
Usually what would happen is when the Malibu Police Department were concerned about the number of young people hanging out at the ranch, they would arrest like 16 or 20 people for a dune buggy to try to weed out the juveniles and break us up.
Okay, and then you had arrest for a burglary for using a stolen credit card?
Yes, Nancy Pittman and I were buying pounds and pounds of cashew nuts and I can't remember what other kinds of things on a stolen credit card in the Topanga Plaza.
And then that was dropped for lack of evidence?
Yeah.
So basically that was the extent of your criminal or contact with law enforcement prior to this?
Yes.
Okay. And you were born in Altadena, California?
Yes.
And your parents got divorced when you were about 14?
Yes.
And then you lived with your mother and you graduated from Monrovia High School?
Yes.
And you're homecoming queen twice, did I say?
Princess twice.
Princess twice, okay. And you were pregnant at the age of 15?
No, I think I was 17.
17,
yeah.
Okay. And that ended with an abortion?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, okay. And then after you graduated from high school, you attended Sawyer's Business College?
Yes, I did.
And you really had things kind of going pretty well.
Kind of. The reason I went to the business college was I was going to be a yogic renunciate for self-realization fellowship. And I had asked them during the year that you study, you know, the lessons to see if that's what you wanted to do, what kind of vocation should I get? And they said that they could always use secretaries. And so my dad, being a practical man, seized the opportunity to get me into a trade because up until that point I was pretty undefined. Mm-hmm. So while I had a trade, I was still, you know, I wasn't really looking at becoming a bank teller or something. I was doing it so I could be a...
Because you had good skills and stuff, but yet you weren't directed into a career orientation.
I never quite got the hang of that.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Anna. That's a great question. I wonder if attorneys tell these people to be calm and collected, would any emotion show instability, thus harm chances of parole? Greatly worded also. Thanks for being here, Anna.
Okay. And did you ever hold a job?
No.
And you were never married?
I was married here.
Oh, here, but I meant...
Oh, prior.
Yeah.
No, I was not.
Okay. No. All right, and then you just started traveling around. When did you start using drugs?
Yes, I started using drugs my junior year of high school.
Okay. And what kind of drugs were you using then?
Marijuana, LSD, and Benzedrine.
Okay.
And hashish. And not in the beginning, but it escalated. Okay. And I was very comfortable with drugs. I liked escaping.
Mm-hmm. And so did you, when you were at Sawyer Business College, were you using a lot of drugs then?
No. After my abortion, I gave up drugs. And I was trying to reach the enlightened. This was during Timothy Leary's time of enlightenment and all of that, just so I put it in context. So I had decided with my boyfriend that I would try to find enlightenment through natural means, and that was yoga and meditation.
But then after that, you got back into using drugs?
Yes, for 1 year. And then halfway through my Sawyer's Business year, I decided I wanted to take LSD again.
And how much LSD would you take?
Usually at least 1 trip a week. It's down as my taking about 300, but I think that I took it a lot. I took LSD a lot, and I liked it. And I liked marijuana, and I I smoked it a lot. I was drug dependent.
Okay, but did you use drugs the day that the commitment offense occurred?
If I did, it would have only been smoking marijuana.
I'm going to go to Commissioner Guadarrama now. That's going to be going over with you what you've been doing in the institution.
Okay, your
Should have been at a Grateful Dead show, not in Charles Manson's den.
classification score at the present time is 0 points.
Yes.
After reviewing your
But
record,
Manson's the one that got her on all of these drugs. So
you noted that you have no discipline the entire time that you've been in the institution.
I had one.
That's the 128.
And I also had a 115
What was
for
that?
marijuana, I think, in 1995 or something like that.
95.
Yeah.
Maybe 75.
Oh, 75, I'm sorry. 75.
2 marijuana seeds.
Oh, yeah, and some seeds.
Okay. At least your file is devoid of any of the 115s. So it's probably in the microfiche
Yeah.
section. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for bringing that to my attention. You've been participating in AA for quite a while.
Yes, I have.
And what is your role in AA?
Right now, I'm a member. I'm not in an executive role.
Okay, have you had an executive position?
Yes, I was the vice chairperson a few years back.
And what have you gotten out of AA?
Well, for one thing, I before AA, I used to feel that because the drugs I was involved with were not addicting as, say, heroin.
Mm-hmm.
I seemed to downplay my need and my associating drug use with a defect in myself. And I think that what AA has done is it's really helped me learn that, I do have that.
Have you learned the steps?
Yes, I have.
You practice them?
Yeah.
Which ones do you practice?
All of them. All of them at different times. One of the things about the 12 steps is that it's continuous. And I think that even with step 1, admitting that I have a problem, I think that it's not as easy as just saying, I have a problem. Each time I review my life, I understand again my problem. So I would say I do it all the time.
What is the 12th step?
Passing it on.
Let me ask you, there's a step dealing with amends, making amends.
Yes.
And have you?
Yes, 8 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who have you made amends to?
I've made amends to the direct people in my life. I've written letters to people that I have felt it was probably inappropriate to contact. I've
Like whom?
like the children of Mrs. LaBianca.
You wrote them letters?
Yeah, that I tore up, and I just haven't felt it. I felt it's presumptuous on my part to try to make an effort to contact them. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let me ask you, what did you say in those letters?
Told them how terribly sorry I was, and that there's no way that I could ever make up for denying them the joy of a mother, and that if I had known what the word sorry really meant, I wouldn't have made light of it in my first trial the way I did. And that I think it's too much to ask for their forgiveness, but for them to just understand that I'm terribly, terribly sorry.
Your work evaluations have been excellent, all ones. And that's, you're doing work as a clerk.
Yes.
And so that's very good.
Thank you.
It's sure very difficult to achieve that level where you're receiving all ones for a prolonged period of time.
Yes.
That's very good. And ones, for the record, means exceptional performance. You are also doing some work on computers?
Yes. Yes, I'm the lead clerk in my area, and so when other women aren't there, I cover for them, and so that was part of the training.
You have 2 C-files, and I was looking for evidence of a vocational certificate anywhere.
Yeah.
There's lots of material to cover, and I didn't run across one.
No.
Is there one?
No. A few hearings back, it was determined that, my vocational skill is secretarial, and I've been doing that since I was incarcerated.
Okay.
So I've maintained my shorthand and
But can't you
computer.
get a certificate and say data processing?
Yes, I was waiting for a date for that because a lot of data processing it's not like riding a bike, you know, and it would be better if I got it once I knew I was getting out so that the information and the skill stays fresh. Because I also did that with word processing. I took a little of that for the application on the job.
Yeah.
So I was going to wait.
It seems that since that program is offered here at the institution, it fit right in with what you're doing. It'd probably be a goal for you to get into it and complete the program.
Yeah.
How long does that program take to complete?
It takes about a year. So I just always, you know. In the beginning when they offered it, and this may be why I was thinking in those terms, they wouldn't offer it to people that weren't a year or two short, you know, from going home because of the nature of the training. Since then, they've opened it up. So do you think I should reconsider?
I would think so. It seems to fit in. And one of the things the board is looking for is people who have prepared themselves and gotten these skills.
Okay.
So when they get on the outside, it's going to be a little bit easier to find a job and support themselves.
Yes, okay.
You also did some college work.
Yes.
How much?
I have a BA in English literature.
Okay, I was looking for something there. There's lots of evidence that you completed college work, but you didn't find a degree or a certificate in that.
Oh, I didn't bring the letter.
When did you get the
82.
degree? 1982?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that in?
English literature from Antioch University.
Which university?
Antioch.
Okay. And you submitted a couple of certificates here.
Yes.
Let me see. The first one here is dated 25th day of February 92. It says that you completed group psychotherapy 12 weeks. This is Helen Parker.
Yes.
And you also received another one dated August of 93. Group psychotherapy 12 weeks, signed by Helen Parker. What was this all about?
She is a outside volunteer therapist that comes in, and so she doesn't do chronos for the central file. And I think it's similar to the therapy groups offered here, although I think with the exception, I think she's more motivational in her handling of them. We deal a lot with self-esteem, boundary setting, women's issues of assertiveness.
You did it twice.
Yes, I try to do, usually, I always get on her list, and it takes about a year to get into her therapy group because she's quite popular and people like to go to her groups.
All right. You get these into your C-file via your counselor.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read off the board report. Excuse me, case case. Co-worker who was off work for approximately 6 weeks while keeping up with her own assignment as well. Her area of responsibilities as a lead person include tracking, filing memos, letters, and assisting in the appeals office. Ms. Van Houten expressed an interest to participate in the California Institution for Women's Substance Abuse Program, and per CDC 128B dated 11/30/92, she was screened out of the program due to her history indicating that she has accomplished a majority of recovery tasks and it has progressed beyond the scope of the substance abuse program. She has remained a dedicated tutor in the READ program. What's that all about?
Once a week. It hasn't been since summer. They took some time off, but when it was happening, 2 outside volunteers would come in and we'd go into a room in the school building once a week, and some of us would help other women learn to read on a one-on-one kind of a person.
And that's a formal program. Was that a formal program?
Yes, it was through the community betterment.
Says, in addition to weekly sessions, she recently attended an all-day tutor training workshop. She was also instrumental in the recently formed inmate community service group, Sharing Our Stitches.
Yes.
What's that program?
Okay. We've been doing that for about a year now, and 15 of us get together and sew quilts for the homeless. And we've also started making little bears. They're called cuddle buddies that will go in the back of the police cars when a child is part of a crime like domestic violence or traffic accidents and all of that. It's also out of community betterment, and it's a really wonderful thing to be able to do.
On January 9th, 1992, you attended the Lifers Orientation meeting, and you have continued to participate in AANA, completing the 12-step study group on 2/3/93. You attended Dr. Greenwald's weekly psychotherapy group from 3/2/92 through 4/13/93. And what was Dr. Greenwald's group about?
In 12-week increments, they changed from time to time. For a while, I attended one that had to do with eating disorders because I tend to be anorexic. And then after that, I did one on anger and his anger therapy group. And I think I did a couple of those. Anyway, those were the two main topics of his therapy groups that I attended. And then after that, I stopped attending and I began dealing with Dr. Connor one-on-one, like sometimes once a month or every other week, which there's no documentation, but I've been doing that lately.
Well, you kept yourself busy over the last couple of years. You've been involved yourself in a lot of programs.
Yes, I do.
Is there anything that I missed that you'd like to bring to attention?
Oh, my attorney found my degree.
Good. Thank you. This is from Antioch University.
Yeah.
Make it known to all who these letters may come that by the advice of the faculty that they have conferred upon Leslie Van Houten the academic degree of Bachelor of Arts given this date, 25th day of June, 1982. Thank you. Is that it? Okay. I'm going to cover the latest psychiatric report. That stated October 26, 1993. And this one was written by Dr. Clabell. And you spent some time with Dr. Clabell?
Yes.
How long?
I had been tested by him, maybe 3 years ago, and had several lengthy meetings with him. I was in a therapy group with him at one point, probably 2 years ago, maybe longer than that, prior to my last board hearing. I had been involved in some training sessions as a peer counselor, a peer helper, which I didn't become. And then this session with him, which I believe was a couple hours. So I've dealt with him on and off quite a bit.
So he knows you well?
Yes.
Going to his reports, summarizing numerous previous reports, Armstrong, 1989, and Dr. Armstrong, 1989, stated, these and other reports specifically point to no psychiatric diagnosis, a very low potential for violence, and a recommendation for continuation of present programming until parole is granted. In like manner, Dr. Pontiff, 1991, concluded with this statement, it is the opinion of this interviewer that Ms. Van Houten should be given every consideration for parole at this time. This psychologist has read the quoted in several former reports and agrees fully with their findings and conclusions. The present interview with inmate Van Houten again confirmed the previous finding, and it can be concluded that she is continuing to program and improve in her attempt to understand her crime, take responsibility for it, and keep a mature and growth-oriented outlook on life. Findings. All previous reports, especially the last few, are virtually the same. Consequently, this case has been reviewed. No significant psychiatric or psychological changes have been noted, except further improvement, and the previous reports have been found to be accurate. Conclusions and suggested actions. Many positive psychiatric and psychological reports by a variety of professionals have been presented on this inmate, and no changes have been noted, except positive changes to be expected naturally over time. Therefore, it is respectfully requested that the Board of Prison Term panel specifically remove this inmate from the psychiatric referral panel. And signed by Dr. Clabell. Very positive report.
Thank you.
Do you have any comments on it?
No.
turn it back to Chair.
Okay. Mr. Giaquinto on parole plan.
Okay, I had to go back several board reports to say anything about parole plans. And it doesn't really say an awful lot in here about what your parole plans are, except that you have lots of offers for rent, free rent, automobile, and employment. So why don't you just tell me what your parole plans are?
Well, I have one job that I've been offered that I'm sure is probably minimum wage and not really a skill. I felt that what I'd like to do is start off with, because I have people that have offered me housing and I wouldn't have to right away come up with the full expense of living independently, that I would like to start off very low-key and not make tremendous plans that perhaps aren't realistic. And that once I'm out and I'm able to see what is a marketable skill for me as a middle-aged woman in the job hunting market, I'd like to further my education in whatever area that would be. For a long time, I wanted to get a master's in business administration, but those were like plans when I was in my early 30s. So I'm not sure if it would be better to look in a different direction. You know, I'll certainly do what I can about the data processing. And my main concern is that I'd like to be able to find good employment in a realistic, reasonable realm of a standard of living so that I could rent a nice small place, and that I would be able to get involved in a company where I would begin to be able to make some sort of a nest egg for my elder years. That's a concern to me, so.
There is also some indication here that you intend to change your name.
Oh, yes, certainly, yes.
Okay. Surely there are a lot of letters here that I've noticed. I'm not going to read the content of each of these letters into the record. And of course, counsel has also asked that I not reveal necessarily the writers, but I have reviewed the letters. They all appear to be legitimate. There were a couple that were unsigned. However, they appear to be legitimate letters of support for you. And I'll just kind of scan through them, and I highlighted a couple parts of each of these letters. This is an individual who's known you for a short period for a long period of time, 10 years, and is basically supportive, is critical of the way you've been treated over the years, not granted parole, and disputes some of the circumstances involving the theories of how these offenses occurred and things of that nature.
Yes, I don't know that person. I can tell by the handwriting. I get very long letters from that person. I'm not sure who he is.
Okay, well, he says here that he'll continue to love and support you. And
what? Why did you add that? I don't know who this guy is. He really loves the Manson family, so he loves me. He wants to continue to love and support me. But I don't know who he is exactly.
Believes in you and things of that nature. Yeah. And 25 years in prison is a long time, and you should be let out. There was another person here that says that she's known you since 1964.
Yes.
Okay, and it says, my love and caring for her has not changed. If you find her eligible for parole, I will still be available for her both emotionally and financially. And I guess that's the key issue there. There's one from your father.
Yes.
Of course, it's supportive. It says that you've been punished long enough, that you have been rehabilitated, and that you have complied and cooperated with the system and the Board of Prison terms. And he will help you with transportation when you are given parole date.
Yes, yes. Okay. My dad's always said that he'll help me get a car. Particularly my plans, that is one thing, I know that my plans have to be Los Angeles, but I would hope that I would be able to work with interstate and change.
Yeah, It is noted that your father does not live in Los Angeles. He still lives outside of Los Angeles. And then there's one from your mother. And of course, it's supportive. She says that you meet the requirements from prior hearing, she's very proud of you and your ability to meet the adversity that's been put in your way, as she describes it, by the parole board, and your perseverance in overcoming the prison environment, and that she feels that if you were to be released, you'd be a productive member of society. Would she be able to provide you with any support?
Yes.
What's her means? Was she working? Does she work
No, she's retired now, but she's, able to be independent and able-bodied.
There's another very lengthy letter here, typewritten, dated December 93, and it says that he's known you for the last 2 years.
Yes, I write this person.
Okay. And this is the letter here.
Yes.
And he goes through several different paragraphs of arguing why you should be released and being, to some extent, critical of the board and its having ignored the positive aspects of your rehabilitation. And I didn't see anywhere in there where this person indicated that he would provide you with any financial support or anything like that. But the letter is generally supportive of you in terms of the argument that the writer makes.
Yeah. I've written him, so I wouldn't really be comfortable with financial support and all. I only know him as a correspondent.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm trying to do is cut through this so that we know which ones are going to actually help you to survive on the outside financially, economically. It's going to be tough.
Yes.
And this another person that has known you for a number of years after viewing your artworks.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And this person is confident that you're a prime candidate for parole and that you've been punished long enough. And this person says that you've always expressed concern for people around you and that you're not a threat to society, and therefore the board should consider releasing you. And there are at least 5 more letters similar to that, which are generally supportive of your being released without providing other kinds of support. And I'm not going to read each and every one of those, but I'll note that they're there. And there was a letter in here that says that the writer has known you for some time, and she's visited here, and she taught at CIW for more than 10 years, and she says that she's offered you a place to live in her home, and that is in Los Angeles. Okay. And this is a letter from another person, who I assume is a relative, and she's offered you a place to live.
Yes.
Okay. And there's an offer for employment.
Yes.
Okay, and that's from the Los Angeles area.
Yes.
Not in Los Angeles, but a town around the Los Angeles area. And this writer says that, I want you to know, Leslie Van Houten has a position of employment waiting for her in her store. And she says that at the time, that if that were to occur, she'd work out the salary and the other arrangements with you.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that I probably have about 10 or 15 people that I could rely on seriously for help in my initial entering back into society. That and I know that the parole plans aren't extravagant, but I would like to, as much as I can, just start very slowly and find where I fit. And I don't really want to set myself up for a big downfall by daydreaming of things that aren't realistic.
let me finish up these letters. There is another letter in here. It's a handwritten letter, and it's kind of hard to follow. It's supportive of release for you, but I'm not going to read it into the record.
Yeah, I got a copy of that, and I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's kind of a rambling little letter. And there's other letters in here, and that stay similar issues to the last ones that were written in November, December, and generally they argue for
Holy Mother of God, Lakota, absolute motherfucking OG in this house. Morning church. Thought she'd say murder church. Morning church. This is the best thing going. And she's been a member for half a year, dude. 6 freaking months. You kidding me? You kidding me?
Respect my house. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I'm going to give you one of these bad boys. Happy
Anniversary. It's anniversary.
Love you, Lakota. Seriously. You fucking rule.
you being granted a date. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of those, but I will represent to you that I did read each and every one of those. Okay?
Thank you.
Are there any other letters of support or any other plans that I need to know about your parole? I think you just about covered it. You told us where you're basically coming from in terms of...
Yes, and if there are other letters, I didn't realize the address had changed. And I think that some people are getting them back because it's been over a year and they're not, the Postal Service isn't forwarding them. But they're basically the same. And also people that wrote the year before. So if 91s are in there, if there's, in other words, if there's letters missing now, it's basically the same people that will be writing.
We did send out notices to various official agencies that might have some interest in this matter.
Yes.
We received a response from the Los Angeles Police Department written by Captain Garland, and it opposes your parole.
Yes.
And it says that you were an active and willing participant in the brutal murders and mutilation of several persons in Los Angeles. And it says the actions of Ms. Van Houten during and subsequent to these brutal murders are well documented and have been established beyond a reasonable doubt. And to realize the brutality that has occurred and then to subsequently release a person of this kind on society is unconscionable. And that was the only response we got from those agencies. Of course, the district attorney's office is represented by the deputy district attorney there. Also, we did receive a number of what appear to be petitions that were in the national magazine, and there's about, what's been represented to be 42,000 of these, and they say, I'm outraged that Susan Atkins, Charles Tate Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten are being considered for parole. I don't want to see these savage gang of killers set free to commit crimes against other innocent citizens. And then they say that they basically want you to stay in prison. Okay, and there's
what are they, like coupons?
Well, they're apparently a portion of a national magazine that you could cut out. It already had the verbiage on there, and then you
like
would fill in your name. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of those. We did also receive a number of letters protesting any consideration for you being paroled. And I'm not going to go through all of those, but there are a number of them. Some are in the form of petitions, some are in the form of letters. And I'll just represent to you that I have looked through this large box and looked at these various pieces or documents relative to opposition for you being granted a date. And with that, I'll go back to the chair.
Okay, all right. Now's the time for the panel members.
Yeah, they give out coupons to keep you in prison. It's a bunch of coupons. It did look strange the way he was holding it, I must admit, though.
Ask any question. I just have one question I want to ask you. This comes from a psychological report that was done back in 1980, and at that time, it was mentioning that you were saying that Charlie used to say to you all the time, I love you so much I would die for you. He'd say that time and time again.
Yes. Yes.
What kind of connotation was that?
He was doing it in the biblical text, really, of Christ's undying love, that I love you so much I would lay my life down for you.
Okay. Did he always sort of represent himself as godlike? Christ-like. Okay.
Yeah, Christ.
And did he do that?
He would never come directly out and say, I am Jesus Christ, but he would reenact the crucifixion while we were on LSD, and he would...
How would he reenact the crucifixion?
He would, we'd all be sitting in a circle around him, and he would stand and begin to talk about it, and then go through the whole thing in a very dramatic way.
With the cross?
No. He just, pretend that the cross was there and look down on us.
Okay. Were you at that time looking for something that you didn't find in your life growing up, do you think?
Yes, I was looking. I feel that I have gone through my past so many times to look for answers as to why I ended up where I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that I think when my dad left, I was very close to my father, and I felt that it ostracized us in a way from the socially acceptable ways of the community, because in the mid-60s divorce wasn't that popular or commonplace. And I feel that one of the reasons I was looking for love, which I found in my high school boyfriend so deeply, was I think that I was very hungry for someone to feel attached to after my dad left. And I was very comfortable with the drug world, which my boyfriend was involved in, and he didn't involve me in it. I was eager to discover what marijuana and all of that was about. You're right, I was looking. And after my pregnancy and my abortion, I'm not saying this from an ethical stance. I'm not, I wanted the child. And I think that after the abortion, I felt very cut off and removed from my mother. We had very hard years then. And I was just roaming around looking for something to fit into this, and it ended up Swan's Movie Ranch.
Mr. Guadarrama, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Giaquino, do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kay, do you have any questions?
No.
All right. Mr. Murray, do you have any questions? No. All right, and we will go to concluding comments. First to Mr. Kay. And Mr. Kay, I just asked, because we've been through the crime a whole bunch earlier now, that maybe if you wouldn't mind just sort of bringing up some areas that we might have overlooked.
You know, I can imagine as you're...
This guy's like, I've done this 1,000 times. I don't even need to look at my notes.
Sitting there, that you're probably very impressed with Leslie Van Houten and hearing her tell about the crimes. The problem is that she tends to shade things, and she doesn't give you the complete truth. And that's, of course, I hit her on that at her last parole hearing with the statement of the psychologist J.J. Ponath, the board report of 10/15/91, and it was cured this time, of course, that the psychologist didn't put down anything that she said about the crime, so there's nothing for me to talk to her about, but fortunately she did tell you folks a bunch. Now, she told Dr. Ponath that a lot of it slipped her mind, and she's telling you today, well, I don't remember, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff. Conveniently, though, she leaves out a lot of the very important details, and I just want to go over some of those details. The evidence was clear in her own words at her trial that she knew what was going to happen the first night. She told you today, well, I didn't really know until the next day after the murders. In her own words, in the statement that she gave to her first attorney that was played in evidence in the first trial, she said that she knew what was going to happen when Krenwinkel went out the first night, that there were going to be murders. She didn't know specifically who was going to be murdered, but that she was very upset. She was upset that she didn't get to go along. And she was hoping that if they went out again, that she was going to get to go along. Well, of course, as we know, that she did get her wish. The next night, she did get to go along. She testified under my cross-examination at trial that up to the period when Krenwinkel went out to the murders, that she weighed and considered in her mind for 2 days the question of whether or not she could kill and would kill if asked. And she decided on her own that she could kill and that she would kill, and she made the decision to join the conspiracy before Manson or anyone else asked her to do that. I noticed that she didn't mention that today. She said that in the 1982 board hearing here in front of the Board of Prison Terms, that she made a conscious decision to stay with the family when she knew that the family had turned to murder. She didn't mention that today. And she talked about Krenwinkel telling her about this the first night of murder, that it was wrong and they were so young. But what she didn't say is that Krenwinkel actually filled her in about the brutal murder of a pregnant woman. And the importance in this is that she had all this knowledge when she went out on the night of the LaBianca murders. It wasn't like, she told Dr. Ponath in the board report, and I kind of feel sorry for these psychiatrists around here because they don't have any cross-examination. They don't have any opposition. It's just, well, whatever she tells them, and she looks sincere when she tells them. But she told Dr. Ponath, quote, a lot of it slips my mind, but I think he asked me, do you think that you could go and kill someone? And I said yes, then I went. That's about it. And that was it. Nothing about knowing what was going to happen when Krenwinkel went out, nothing about the training classes for murder that Tex Watson put on how to stab people. Just so much has been left out. The meeting in the bunk room where Manson got...
That's a crazy way to think about it. Fear of missing out. And I could see that in this situation, right? Like, it is all about the inclusion and being a part of it. And, like, they are truly fucking mind warped. That's an interesting way to think about it, Patricia.
Together, and the ones that she mentioned that were in the car were the ones that were in the car, and they were also in the bunk room. And Manson gave a speech and chastised them for being too messy the night before, and he was going to show them how to do it this night. So all of them, again, from the point when they left the bunk room and then borrowed a car from one of the ranch hands at Spawn Ranch in Chatsworth, they all knew, again, what was going to happen. No surprises. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing with Miss Van Houten. And then the trip actually lasted about 4 hours. She told you some of the places they stopped. She said something about going to put a minister up on the cross. Well, yeah, they were going to put him dead up on the cross upside down. But again, there's a lot of shading going on here. The evidence came out at her trial that both she and Krenwinkel, when they entered the LaBianca residence, did not have knives, but she admitted on cross-examination that Krenwinkel went into the kitchen the first thing and got a knife for herself, Krenwinkel, and one for Van Houten. So they both had knives at that point. She, of course, left out about her knife. She said Krenwinkel got a knife, but she had a knife. She talks to you today about going in the bedroom, taking Mrs. LaBianca in to get killed, that's true. The two women did take Mrs. LaBianca in there to get killed, but then she says, well, I probably put the pillowcase on her head. Well, there was a little more than that. The evidence came out at the trial that she put the pillowcase on, unplugged a lamp with the cord still attached to the lamp, wrapped the cord around Mrs. LaBianca's neck, then pushed Mrs. LaBianca down on the bed, tried to hold her down at that point, and that's when Mrs. LaBianca heard the guttural sounds of her husband getting stabbed to death and folded up, and Mrs. LaBianca reached out to the lamp and tried to swing it at Van Houten. Van Houten then knocked the lamp out of Mrs. LaBianca's hands and wrestled Mrs. LaBianca down on the bed and pinned her down for Krenwinkel to stab her. And then Krenwinkel stabbed her with such force that the blade bent. And then Miss Van Houten, knowing that Watson had the bayonet, went out in the hall to get Watson. Now, of course, when she talked to the psychiatrist, and again, pardon me for using the 1991 board report, but since the psychiatrist this year, or the psychologist, I should say, doesn't put any of the facts down, I have to go to that. But she tells this psychologist in 1991 that she froze. Well, she didn't freeze. She was a very active participant in all this. I mean, she was clever enough to know if the knife blade bent, well, what are we going to do? Oh, Tex has the bayonet, so she goes out and get the bayonet. And then, of course, she said, well, she tells you folks today, I stabbed her numerous times. Well, in the 1986 hearing, she said that she stabbed Mrs. LaBianca between 10 and 20 times, and in the 1989 hearing in front of the Board of Prison Terms, she said that she stabbed Mrs. LaBianca 16 times. All of her stab wounds were to Mrs. LaBianca's back. Mrs. LaBianca was stabbed 42 times, suffered 8 fatal stab wounds. 7 of the 8 fatal stab wounds were to her back. Now, of course, Miss Van Houten telling the psychiatrist or the psychologist that she froze up and she was so confused, but look at what she did afterwards. She did what any clever criminal would do. She goes around the house wiping off fingerprints, and I guarantee you that she did such a good job that we didn't find any of her fingerprints, we didn't find any of Watson's fingerprints, and we didn't find any of Krenwinkel's fingerprints in that house. What the fingerprint experts found, though, were a lot of wipe marks around the areas like where the writing was in blood and refrigerators and things that would be touched. There was not one fingerprint in there of any of the defendants, so she did a very good job. And then, of course, eating food from the refrigerator. This is such a revolting murder, and how could anybody have the appetite to even have a drink of water? And then she says, well, she changed her clothes because she didn't have anything on them. I find that a little incredible that would happen. I think she changed her clothes because her clothes were covered in blood. And then when she gets back to the ranch, what do you think the very first thing that she does? This woman who's confused and full of remorse, the first thing that she does is she goes out and collects firewood. She collects firewood and then builds a fire in the fireplace of a back house and burns Mrs. LaBianca's clothes because she doesn't want anybody to tie her into the murders. And then, as Mrs. LaBianca's clothes are being burned in the fireplace, she sits on the bed counting Mrs. LaBianca's money. And she said $10 today. I think it was $8 and change, and I certainly agree that the motive wasn't robbery. I went into the motive this morning, helter-skelter. I'm not going to go into it again, but it clearly was a motive to start a race war. This is not a garden variety murder. I know that you folks see many murderers that come by and maybe people that even physically did worse things than Miss Van Houten did. But she wanted to destroy society. That was the whole point in this. They wanted to blame these murders on blacks and get whites to start killing blacks in retaliation. And why? Because they wanted to take over power. This is not your normal murder case, and I would please ask you not to view Miss Van Houten as a normal murderess. She clearly is not. Now, Miss Van Houten has been characterized in a number of the reports that you have read today in glowing terms. And And that's not surprising, because at many different points in Miss Van Houten's life, she has been described in glowing terms. She had what you would almost characterize as a model childhood. She had good parents that took good care of her. She was raised in the church, sang in the Presbyterian church choir, was in Campfire Girls and Bluebirds and Job's Daughters. And then what happened? Her mother said at the trial that she had to get psychiatric care for her at the age of 14 because of her rebellious attitude. And then apparently everything's okay again, and she goes to high school, and she's a model student, good grades, twice homecoming princess, popular with her friends. And then what happens? She starts going with some guy that wasn't in her peer group, some guy that was kicked out of another high school. Well, we've all been through high school, and we've known the girls that were the homecoming princesses and so on. This is not normal. This does not happen. The homecoming princess doesn't go with some guy that's kicked out of another school for misbehavior or something. So then she admitted at trial that her peer group wasn't into taking drugs, and she had to seek out people, there were just a few people in the school that were taking drugs, and she had to find them and start taking drugs with them. And so basically she forsook her friends and looked for a bad element. Then Sawyer's Business College, again. She goes, and it's great. She graduated #1 in her class as a certified legal secretary. And things were going great for her. But then what happened? She didn't want to work. And so she went up to San Francisco, and if you can believe this, she called her mother from San Francisco and told her mother she was dropping out, and told her mother to stop loving her and just forget about her.
She'd been swept up by the hippie movement. Uh-oh. I like how he said that. He described a hippie right there, right? What happens? She doesn't want to work.
If you can imagine a daughter telling that to her mother. And then she met Bobby Bosa.
Like it is, baby.
Up there one day and left with him the next, and lived with Bobby Beausoleil and another woman in a menage a trois for several months. And then Beausoleil, who was a member of the Manson family, came down to Southern California, introduced her to Manson, and she knew Manson was an ex-con, but she liked him right away. She felt that they shared a common lifestyle and ideals. And so much has been said, they refer to this group as a band of hippies.
He's got a guitar, son of a bitch.
This was no band of hippies. They hated hippies. They referred to themselves as slippies, that they were going to slip under the awareness of society, that the society would think that they were peace-loving hippies. But they hated hippies. Most hippies who came into contact with Manson and the family hightailed it and got out of there as fast as they could, because Manson would be telling his followers that Adolf Hitler was his hero for what Hitler did to Jews in World War II, and that there was no right, there was no wrong, there were no laws, it was okay to commit murder. He'd even tell different people in the family who could get together and have babies because he wanted the babies to look a certain way. But again, and of course, this led finally to murder, as we've talked about. And then she comes into prison, and she's like a model prisoner. Things are going great, and then what happens? In 1982, she marries an ex-con, William Simon, and he's caught with a female prison guard's uniform, obviously going to try and break her out. Completely bad judgment, marrying this ne'er-do-well who got caught with the prison guard's uniform. She got a divorce with him, and now she's on the track again of being a model prisoner. But we have to learn from history. And the one thing that we can learn from Leslie Van Houten's history is that sooner or later she's going to disappoint. And she has a history of troubled relationships. She has the history of crime starting at an early age and escalating, starting with drug taking and 300 LSD trips and all the other drugs she's told you about today. And of course, this crime escalated to murder. And an unstable social history. 300 LSD trips, the abortion at the early age, left home to associate with misfits, didn't want to work, and readily adapted to a criminal lifestyle. She did make a couple of points here. If I can just take a minute. I think I've covered most of them about the crime. Let's see.
Morning, Megan. Welcome in.
Yes, I did. I would like to say to the board before concluding that over 42,000 people have had their names submitted to the board who have written in on petitions, cards, and letters, all against Leslie Van Houten and her 4 co-defendants being released on parole. I think these people can fairly be considered as the conscience of our society. These are not unreasonable people. These are people who are afraid. They're afraid that someday you folks on the Board of Prison Terms are going to downplay the horror of Leslie Van Houten's crimes and find her suitable for parole. These are people who will never forget the shocking brutality of Leslie Van Houten's crimes or her active participation in them. These people just want justice. They're merely asking that somebody who tormented society and tried to destroy it not be released back into society. The fact that she's programmed well in prison doesn't overcome the brutality of the crimes or her active participation in those crimes. I would ask the board respectfully to find that looking at the total picture, that Leslie Van Houten still presents an unreasonable risk of harm to society, and that she should be found unsuitable for parole and given a 2-year denial. Thank you very much.
Drops the fucking mic like he always does.
Mr. Malbertek, concluding comments?
Thank you. Let me start out with some brief rebuttal of my colleague's statements. I can't tell you about homecoming princesses when I was in high school. None of them had anything to do with it. But I do know that in your regulations there is no exception. There are no special rules for abnormal or normal murderers. These regulations apply to everybody who is considered for parole, and as you know yourselves, based on
shit. Damn, Donna gonna walk in chat and just immediately gift out a membership. And who's gonna grab that son of a bitch? Patricia Burns, who's been on fire in the chat this morning. Welcome in here. Thank you very much. Beers in the chat, or probably nothings, or whatever the hell. Maybe throw a lighter in there also. Thank you so much. Welcome in here. Let me hit you with one of these. Hell yeah. Appreciate that, Dinah.
experience. There are other people in the system who have 3 life terms.
State Jury and Leslie Van Houten hearing.
Thank you. As far as Dr. Ponath's report, which has been commented on extensively, Dr. Ponath's conclusions are Ms. Van Houten is not suffering from a mental disorder, nor in this interview is professional opinion. Does she pose a threat to herself and society? Is the opinion of this interviewer that Ms. Van Houten should be given every consideration for parole? I guess the thrust of my colleague's argument is that what you have heard, what Ms. Van Houten has testified to, is some material degree of evasion. I'll leave that up to you whether she has admitted participation in these crimes. I think she has. It's natural for people to forget some things over 24 years. But again, that's up to you. If you think something material has been misstated, that is within your discretion. I don't think so. I think we've had a full confession of participation, very little homicide. That's my rebuttal remarks. It's interesting that Mr. Rich's office has set this hearing after Ms. Krenwinkel's hearing, perhaps for administrative convenience, I don't know. Well, let's start out by distinguishing the cases of 2 individuals because it's important. Ms. Van Houten has a realistic chance of being found suitable for parole in her lifetime, or indeed even today, not because of some extraordinary rehabilitative effort that she has displayed, but because of your own regulations. She has convictions for 3 life terms. Ms. Krenwinkel has life convictions for 8 life terms. Ms. Krenwinkel is looking at, probably, at a minimum, a total life term of around 70 years. That is a very considerable degree of punishment. The fact that Ms. Van Houten could even be as I said, realistically considered, is not due to the fact that she has done something exceptional in this institution. It's due to the way your regulations are written. So in opposition to what my colleague has said, we do not want justice in the sense of your subjective opinion about what should happen to her. We want justice in terms of a fair application of your regulations. Having said that, let's sort of clear the brush a little. As you know, in these hearings, there are often little problems in terms of institutional behavior or bad reports of this kind or that kind. Let's go through a few things just to eliminate them from things that we need to worry about. First of all, are there any
Oh, shit. She ain't even done with it. She ain't even done with it yet. Defense attorney meow just pulled one of those sons of bitches. Yes, yes, yes. And as I said earlier, members on YouTube and Patreon are about to start getting a lot of dope content very, very soon. There's going to be specific things for each bracket, but there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. Last night was the beginning of some private stuff that's going to be going down. Appreciate the fuck out of that, Dinah. Thank you so much. And yeah, happy Murder Church, everyone. Get them beers back in the chat there, them coffees in the chat. I just finished my coffee, actually. So I'm going to lace it up there. And yeah, welcome in here, Defense Attorney Meow. What an awesome name also. I've been seeing you hanging out in Jay's chat, and I'm glad to have you here. It's awesome.
Indications of bad things in the current psychiatric report of Mr. Clavel? I don't think so. I don't think Mr. Ponath's report...
And 30 minutes after this ends right here over on Kick. And I'm going to put the link in here again. Jessica for Justice is going to be doing a little bit of live streaming. Love After Lockup. Okay, she does that on Sundays, and it's usually a pretty good time. I've been hanging out in there randomly myself. And if I get some time today, I've got to do some freaking editing. I'm going to try to jump in there also.
Yes, I'm sorry. Is in any degree bad. In fact, Mr. Clavel's report asked that Ms. Van Houten be removed from the psychiatric calendar under the operations manual of the Department of Corrections. I looked up those sections. Those sections indicate, in essence, that no further reports are needed because there's no mental disorder or mental disease that needs to be treated that would indicate that she is going to reoffend at some point in the future. So psychiatric, psychological factors, there's no evidence. You do not have to accept Dr. Clavel's opinion. You are, after all, commissioners and deputy commissioners of the board. The point to be made is we have nothing in this file which says there's some kind of mental disorder or mental disease problem.
Oh, shit. Oh, my fucking God. Cammy. Woo! As we're getting down here to the nitty gritty, and we are coming to an end on Murder Church on this Sunday. We haven't got much left. We probably got another 15 minutes or so. Cammy Q gifting out 5 memberships. Holy shit. Let's see who grabs them. Charmaine grabbing 1. Hospice. Jess grabbing 1. Hot Spice. Jess grabbing 1. Trisha McGregor grabbing 1. Kim Lager Schvitt grabbed 1. I probably butchered that name, but I gave it a hell of a try. Queen Olive Ruthann. Oh, welcome to the Publicly Buzzed membership. Get them chats loaded the fuck up. Holy crap. Let's go. Throw it all in there.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
We're not messing around. We're not messing around. Let's go. Damn. Damn. Coming through right now. Still rolling through here again, everybody that is going to be getting these gifted memberships. It's going to be a chance for you to see what the hell's going on. You know what? Actually, I don't even fucking do this. There's a way that I can gift out some more memberships. Hold on. Membership gifting. I have 10 memberships to gift out here. Let's see. I can gift out 5 now. I'm going to do it. Let's see who gets 5 more gifted memberships in the chat. Let's see if we got some more lurkers hanging out here. Let's see who gets these sons of bitches. Desiree D. Love to see CRE8. I'm not sure on that name. I apologize. Welcome the fuck in here. Mary Rigsby. Welcome in here. Holy shit. Wow. Boom. Not messing around. Woo! Everybody, seriously, welcome in here. You're going to be getting some dope-ass content coming down the motherfucking pike. Okay? Appreciate it. Wow, what a morning. Everybody's getting wild as hell in here. Love it, baby. Love it. Go back here. Getting lost in my side quest.
second thing, board report by Mr. Duarte. I don't see any problem there. He says that Ms. Van Houten has a very little violence potential. Generally, his remarks seem to be exemplary. Again, that's not a problem. Is there a problem in institutional programming? Mr. Guadarrama seems to, well, it's stated that in general it's very, very good. And I think based on the other cases that I have seen, and you can compare them to your own experience, this is an exceptional institutional record. Is there any problem with marketable employment skills? No, Ms. Van Houten has performed very successfully in a secretarial and capacity in this institute as a clerk. She's gotten very good work reports. Is there any problem with the substance abuse participation?
Oh, okay, great. That makes way more sense than me saying CRE8.
One thing that was not mentioned by Mr. Guadarrama was a chrono by a gentleman named Mr. Jeske, who runs the substance abuse program in the institution from November of '92. Ms. Van Houten had applied to be enrolled in the substance abuse program, which is a program different from NAA. She was rejected from that program on the ground, and this is in the chrono, and she did not need it. So in terms of what the institution
Wow. 199 coming through from Dinah Do 420. God almighty, get in here, baby. This is wild this morning. This is absolutely insane, honestly. Jeez. I'm going to give you one of these. Give you the new money, baby.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Exceptional drug program. She needs to continue in AA as she has done. Is there any problem here with family support? Certainly you've seen individuals who have no family support at all or have no... Obviously some of these individuals may be a little bit unstable. I get a lot of crank calls in this particular week myself. But what we do have is family here and friends willing to support this individual. So we don't have the isolation problem or throw them out on parole and disappear thing that occurs in some cases. Lastly, is there any problem with compliance with last year's hearing decision? My recollection is that it was instruction to continue to be disciplinary for your continuing self-help program. I don't see any particular problem there. So all these things are not really issues. So what are the real issues in this case? Well, there are two. Number one, it's always been the law in California, and this goes back to the old Adult Authority and Community Release Board. This is almost ancient history. That you have the power to deny a person parole, to find them not suitable for parole solely on the basis of their commitment. That's essentially punishment. That continues to be your power now. So punishment is one issue. However, the difference between the old system, although even in the Adult Authority, as you may know from ISL hearings, perhaps you're familiar with the standard hearings, they had sentence ranges in the late 70s. Now we have a matrix. So the idea is because the penal code says you're supposed to set uniform terms that will not rely on the individual standards of the members of hearing panels. Someone saying, well, I think punishment should be this, and I think your punishment should be that. We're going to have a matrix system which is going to try to make things equal for everyone else. In other words, to reduce the subjective element of what punishment should be. The second issue is an interesting law, Penal Code Section 3043.5, and you've made this finding in endless hearings, I'm sure, which says that you have to determine whether she's a threat to society if released on parole. And that is a crucial finding, which I would call a dangerousness finding, whether if she was released now, she would recommit. It's crucial because 2281 of your own rules says, regardless of the length of time served, and you know this again, this is standard language, prisoner will be found unsuitable for parole if she poses an unreasonable risk to society. In other words, if you find her to be dangerous now, if you find her a threat to society, you cannot find her suitable for parole under 2281, regardless of what you think her punishment should be. So that's important. I'd like to go into those are really, I think, are the two issues. It's dangerousness, is whether she's a threat to society, and what her punishment should be. Let's address the dangerousness issue. Most of my colleagues' argument has addressed matters which occurred approximately 24 years ago. The cases that I've seen, the law that I've seen that indicates how you should evaluate whether someone is actually dangerous. Say first, when was the commitment offense committed? Obviously, 1 year after that, you can still make a reasonable. So you would look to see what else has this person done in the interim, which would indicate that he or she might recommit or do something physically.
Is it close up with this lady?
You have nothing.
I don't think we do.
We have no significant disciplinary offenses. The ones that were brought up are, in fact, in the microfiche. It was a 128 for 50 cents, I think, in the 2 marijuana suits. But there are no violent acts. It's a significant thing. I've said this before, but I think it's important. The only violent act this individual ever did was this particular offense. We have at this point no bad psychiatric opinion. The opinion of the latest person involved, Dr. Clavel, is that there's no disease, there's no disorder. We have excellent programming. I don't think there is any reasonable basis to find that she is a threat to society. If you look at last year's hearing decision, the justification for the threat to society was the commitment offense.
What's going on with this camera angles right now? This dude's like, I'm going to take my time. This is my moment to shine, baby. I'm going to get a close-up of this scarf lady. How about look at this fucking ring, how it matches my gold fucking watch and my pen.
Now, you can take that position. I don't think it's a reasonable one, given the passage of time. Again, I feel very strongly about this, and I urge you, whatever your other findings may be, to seriously consider whether she should be found a threat to society. I don't think the evidence is there at this point now. So what does the case boil down to? It's punishment.
Look at that stash. He's cut it off a little bit short there. I mean, you got to get a little bit of side length in your stash, but I don't know.
It's my feeling, having done this many times, and certainly we have panel members who are here.
Very professional stash.
The real issue in this case is how much punishment my client should be. And in addressing that, I think we have to, again, it's not what I think her punishment should be, or you as individuals think her punishment should be. You can reasonably think anyone who's convicted of murder should never be released from prison. We have that law in California. That is a reasonable position to take. But unfortunately, in this case, we have a different law. She is eligible for parole, and the punishment is addressed by the matrix that we have. So although the rules which you do have do not require you to express any opinion about what punishment would be, the fact that she has been denied parole to this point does tell us something about what the board thinks, because she had served 24 years. We know by the operation of your credit laws, 2290 and so on, that a person who is in prison may reduce their total life term once it's set by 1/4. A person who has a total life term of 32 years, 32 being divisible by 8, will be, if they make all possible credit, which they could get under 2290, let's just set a hypothetical case, would be released after 24 years. 8 is 1/4 of a 32-year term. 32 years, when compared to Category 3C of the matrix, where this case falls, I don't think there's any question about that. I'm not going to go over that. You can look at that yourself. It's a 3C case. The aggravated term under 3C is 18 years. We have 2 other life terms. That's 14 years. 14 and 18 is 32 years. Ms. Van Houten has served 24 years now after the application of all credit which she could earn, which I think she's entitled to given her excellent work reports, indicates that at a minimum, by the fact that you have denied her parole, or the board has denied her parole, that she has been placed in the aggravated C3 range. If she is denied parole again, it effects means she's off the chart. Her punishment, for some reason which we don't know, exceeds an aggravated term under the matrix as well. What I am trying to say here is that the punishment we think she should serve is the punishment which the law says she should serve. And that punishment has been served. She is now serving an aggravated term under C3 for all of these offenses. If she is denied parole again, you are doing it on the basis of extraordinary factors which are not apparent to me. Again, the system which we have does not force you or allow you to tell it. But the punishment is there. That's basically the case. The law says the punishment should be C3. She has served an aggravated term for C3. She's not dangerous on the basis of any evidence that I can see or a threat to society. Again, unless you take the position that what happened 24 years ago by itself means that she is. There are no other, to use a technical term, contraindications to parole here. I think it's an excellent case for parole. Punishment is satisfied. The threat is not there. Thank you.
Ms. Van Houten, do you have any comments you'd like to make now concerning your parole suitability?
Just that I ask all of you to hold me to Title 15 and to judge me as you would anyone else. And, I understand that there's the media pressure surrounding this case, but I would ask that you would over all of that, treat me as you would someone who did not have the cameras here. Thank you.
The time is now 1:55. We'll be in recess, and we'll call you all back when we finish our deliberation.
And next, you know what's coming. Get back in there. 4 minutes.
In recess, those people that were previously in the room have returned. Ms. Van Houten, the panel reviewed all the information received from the public and relied on the following circumstances in determining that you're not yet suitable for parole and would pose an unreasonable risk or danger to others if you were released. And this is based on the following reasons, and it was a unanimous decision. First of all is the commitment offense, which was carried out in really a horrible manner that totally innocent people ended up losing their lives. This is drawn for the statement of facts where you and your crime partners went to the LaBianca home. You then entered the home, found them tied up, took Mrs. LaBianca into the bedroom with the purposes of murdering her. You put the pillowcase over her head, tied the lamp cord around her neck, and forced her down onto the bed. And while doing that, she can hear the stabbing death of her husband and the sounds of that, and she raises up trying to fight for her life and probably to save her husband's. And you then struggled with her, and your crime partner stabbed viciously a knife into her so hard that it bent on her collarbone. And then you asked for help from Mr. Watson, who came into the room, and then he handed you a knife, and you subsequently stabbed her several times in the back. Then, prior to leaving there, you took all the fingerprints off the house, then went and got into her clothes, which is rather hard to believe, and items were taken from the refrigerator, which a short time later were consumed by you and your crime partners. You do have a previous record of an unstable social history and early usage of drugs and kind of abandoning of society and your family to run off and live in a drug lifestyle. Your institutional behavior has been very good. However, as has been indicated here at this meeting, we'd like to see you get a vocational certificate. We do make the following findings: that we commend you for your very excellent work reports. You've been getting exceptional.
Yeah, I said that earlier, man. The first one from 91, she looks like a businesswoman. And this one, she has like more of a school teacher vibe going on. She's like, I'm going to try a different route here.
Work reports.
Less cunty.
For your participation in the self-help and therapy that you've been doing, and for what you have been adding to those programs, and also for your participation in READ, where you're helping other people who are illiterate or close to that be able to read. This is a denial for 2 years. We don't expect a hearing panel to find that you'd be suitable for parole in the following 2 years. These are based on the following reasons. First of all, of course, is the commitment offense, which was really awful. I feel it even involves torture to Mrs. LaBianca, and certainly a very frightening situation where they ended up dying, and for senseless, absolutely totally senseless reasons. And again, as I indicated previously, we'd like to see you complete the necessary programming that we feel is critical, and that would be getting your vocational certificate, so you can clearly show that you've got marketable skills on release. We would like to make the following recommendations: that you continue to remain disciplinary free, that you upgrade vocationally, and you continue in your self-help and therapy programming. That concludes the formal part of this decision. I'm sure my panel members would agree with me that you've come a long way, and you have, through the years, as we can see in the psychologist reports, come to better understand yourself. There is perhaps more you might want to look at as regarding the crime, and probably could never really learn enough, as you're saying, as to whatever got you into the situation that you got yourself into. But you have come a long ways, and we just feel that there's some more time that you need to do. We wish you very well, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 years.
Okay.
Thank you. It's now
Gets the hell out of here.
2:26, and that concludes our hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were these yours, Mr. Markley?
No, those came in our...
Look at her face. But she'll be back. I think they got a 97 and a 2000 on here. And she's actually free now, man. It's crazy. Wow. Wow. Insane day today. Amazing day today, actually. Thank y'all so much for hanging and banging. I appreciate it. Yeah. Next time you'll see me will be Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, we'll see what's happening in the morning. This will pour you straight into Jay's morning. I believe 10:30 a.m. is when the Rust trial starts in New Mexico, with the time frame there a little bit of a different time. But yeah, should be going all day. I should see you in the chat there. Amazing day. Insane day, folks. Thank you all so much. Again, chat was banging today. I love the diversity in the chat. I love the different opinions. That's what I want here. And respecting others' opinions is the most important thing. Crazy day. Everyone that came through with the super chats, with the gifted memberships. Again, keep your eyes peeled on everything. You guys are going to love what's coming down the road here from Publicly Buzzed. And Jessica for Justice, yeah, she is about to be hitting you guys in about 30 minutes over on Kick, and yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. If you dig it here, you're gonna dig it there. She's a real person. I don't deal with fake people. is what we don't do here in this community, and I think you will find that out pretty quickly. Yeah, again, everybody hanging out in the chat that came through today. What a freaking morning. Unbelievable. Did 2 parole hearings, 1991 and 1993. So we'll see what comes next week for sure. Bob Motta will be on here. Well, let's not say for sure, but it should be next week. I talked to him. You never know what can come down the pike, but he should be coming on for the closing arguments next week for the Dr. Jack Kevorkian trial, and then we need to find a new trial. Okay, I've got some that I've been thinking about. I've had people make some recommendations. I want to find a good one though. I want to find one that I want to sink my teeth into, and hopefully you guys will feel the same about it. So yeah, we will see. We'll see. Yeah, man. Everybody's still here, hanging and banging. I love it, man. Absolutely. Thank you for accepting a membership. Because I think you're gonna enjoy what you get on the back end here. Here we go. If y'all want to join me, Kick for Love After Lockup, I'll be starting at 11:45. That's Central Time, 12:45 Eastern. Love you all. So yeah, go over there, check her out. Yeah. All right, guys. Love y'all. See you in the morning. Actually, later.
This verse